allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Eva, please call the roll.
Mayor Charles?
Here.
Councilmember Royce?
Here.
Councilmember Hayes?
Here.
Councilmember Sapp?
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Okay, and because we're doing the workshop for the CRA and also the workshop, the second workshop for the town budget, we are going to open the CRA as we just did. We'll close it, and then we'll move on to the other. Staff's been working really hard, pulling everything together. We have a very light agenda tonight. I think we're going to be able to get through it pretty fast. And at this point, we're going to do a tag team between Eva, Rachel, and myself on the CRA. And Chief Snyder, our interim town administrator, is actually doing double duty in the sound booth because our sound and audio technician is stuck in traffic on 64 due to the storm. So appreciate Chief also playing double role up here. So this chart here is,
I'm sorry, I'm getting the bigger.
good? Just kind of want to move over on the capital side for the annual budget. Is the 574 was spending through June. Basically, that fund balance is like 579, 597, and that ties into the project worksheets that we have attached. We've got interest of 10,000. That's the number that we can allocate, and then the important for tonight is the 134, 331, and the 242 makes up 376,554. Additional CRA funding that's coming in this year that we want to allocate. So unless there's any questions on this chart, what our plan is to go through quickly the existing projects to see is there any that you want to delay, cancel, or change, and then that would free up money that we will then move into how can we best allocate. We're going to need direction on projects to allocate the $376,000, and you'll see later there's just some thought starter ideas. So the first process that we thought is and we did a little of that a couple weeks ago at the CRA, and we've updated from them, but maybe just go through these projects to see anything standing out to you all that we want to adjust in any way, and then if there is some to cancel, we'll take that money as unallocated and we'll start working that for the budget with the additional funds. Make sense? Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Eva. We'll just kind of go through them one at a time, and you can say thumbs up, thumbs down, or any comments to change in them.
Just bring it up, I lost it.
What's that?
I lost my other workshop.
And since we have one participant in the audience, if there's any questions that you have at any time, raise your hand, and I'm going to not go back and forth. We'll just discuss up here. And
There we go. I found it.
okay, first one on here. We'll go ahead as you're. There we go. Dale Hall parking and sidewalk.
So, Mayor, that was already removed.
Yep.
So that was
So
already
move on, right? The irrigation, I think last time we gave us the thumbs up to continue.
Why don't we add some money there, Madam Mayor? I think it's going to cost more than 10 grand to do wells and irrigation. So, I mean, we have some money to do.
Yep.
I think we ought to budget 20 grand there.
Alan, is that, from your experience, high enough?
I don't know the current pricing of drilling a well, but I know just replacing the pump is 10,000.
So 10,000 for the pump, and then you need irrigation lines and everything, right? I don't think anything's ever been put in there.
Correct.
So 20,000 should be sufficient?
20 to 25.
We'll make it 25. I mean,
25?
let's fund it enough to get it done.
Okay.
Next is your Doll Hall Playground. 50,000 is what's allocated from the previous. 50,000 was.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
There I go. We just had this conversation, didn't we, Nell? Speak into the mic. $50,000 for the Doll Hall Playground is what was on the original list.
Is that enough? Okay.
The only thing, and I was going to throw it out later, is I think we initially thought that was playground. I'd like to think about kicking it up a little for, like, not a big splash pad, but even dancing fountains or something, some type of a splash pad. As we look at, people want splash pad, where would you put that? Probably the Dale Hall Park is a good spot. Alan, that's kind of what we're kicking around. Other words, you already got water down at Lake June Park, maybe something there, but, it really came out in a lot of our workshops, a splash pad.
The only thing I'm not sure of is the water treatment, because the water would be recycled. I don't know how large that equipment is or where that would need to go.
So what do you want to add,
Well,
Madam?
Brandon, are you adding to, is that possible or not possible?
I worked for a town that had that, and we had to use potable water at all times and no reuse, and it actually just goes right into the drain. It actually went to the Caloosahatchee River, the way we had it set up.
So well water would be fine to use for a splash pad?
No, ma'am. It has to be chlorinated.
Okay,
It would have to
okay.
be chlorinated. And also, if you're going to do a splash pad, what we had was a rubber mat for the kids to be on the splash pad. So however they design it, I just want to.
Do you have any budget thoughts on that?
No, ma'am. I just did the repairing.
Safe answer.
So let's raise it to $100,000 and see if that'll cover it.
And we should change the title to Playground / Splash Pad.
Right.
Make it $100,000
Yeah.
and see if that gets
And we-
you.
and-
We can always change.
And we would go after grants too.
Okay.
That's where we can really get grants for that, and RPAC can help too, up to $75,000. Because if CRA can fund it, then we can go to RPAC and get some funding too. So I'm fine with that if everybody is. Okay?
Sorry, flipping the page. So the Doll Hall Rehab Building, that was excess funding, that'll just come off. It was carried over from 2024-25. That's why you see it negative. It had been carried over for that project as a loss. We'll end up adjusting that. Right, Rachel? I don't know how that works.
So have you done the rehab work or
We
not?
did, the rehab work was done in 24-25, but there was an additional invoice, I think, or whatever got
Okay,
paid
so
in the next year.
This is an overrun, right?
So this is money that's
It was
already been spent?
overrun.
It's
Yeah.
already
Okay,
been
good
spent,
deal.
right? It's an overrun.
The patio we've just killed though,
Yep.
right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Landscaping, as I remember, we kind of put it off, but do we need to put more money in there to buy some stuff once we're ready?
It depends on how many trees we want to put in there as far as landscaping. Do you want, if we're just doing trees, or if we're kind of going to be decorating around with mulch and plants and things like that?
I'm not trying to just spend money, but we got $961,000. So I would suggest we add another $5,000 there and make that 15.
I would also suggest keeping it simple, just trees,
Right.
less maintenance, as simple as possible. Although oak leaves are a pain in a splash pad, I would think. So we have to be very careful what you put where.
I think you ought to go to 10 more. 5,000 won't get you much more.
Okay.
Just for a few
Yeah.
trees, it shouldn't be a whole lot. but-
Well, and sometimes we can look at shade structures too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay?
So I think the next one's a septic to sewer utility, I think. That was 32,000 that was put in there. Septic to sewer.
Is that to pay for connection fees if we were doing it to
I think, yeah.
businesses and homes within the area?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we added the stormwater this last year. So 70,000 on that one.
leave it this,
Okay,
I lost my spot, sorry. 70,000. Oh, the gazebo railing, 75,000.
yeah, and we have an RFP out, so we're going to know pretty soon on what that's going to cost. I think it's due back in 10 days or something like that. Quite a few companies have at least looked at the RFP, so that's encouraging.
Is 75 the right number for that?
Don't have no clue.
I don't know.
I think you're thinking,
75 seems a bit high for
It
that.
should be okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then you have, I guess, the benches for 40.
And we're still working through that.
Oh.
That's,
Did I go too fast? I'm sorry. Oh,
okay?
That's still at 40, is that right?
yes, I'm trying to
40
find,
is
right
okay.
there it is, 40. Yeah,
Okay.
you give us 40 and we'll see how far it goes. You know, I think at one point we're going to replace every bench throughout town, and we're like, no, let's just start with one area. A lot of them are still functional, so, good.
and then downtown banners, I think that will require a sign code that Central Florida Regional Planning's working on, because we can't have banners
So,
under our code.
Madam Mayor, this one's highlighted. So it says here required. Are we required to hire someone to work on signage and banner language or not?
So Chief, do you want to comment on this? I've got, Chief has put a call into Flint Central Planning because they were working on it. They came back to us, they were working on it, and I asked them the other day, are they still working on it, or do we need to get Dana involved?
She was there at the Wauchula meeting, and she said she's coming back in September to talk to us about signage.
Okay.
So I believe they are working on it.
Okay, perfect.
When you say she, you mean Jennifer?
I mean Jennifer, yeah,
Okay.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Dana.
So we've already made a deal with them to pay them this.
As part of the master plan that they were
Okay.
working on.
Okay.
They were working on this and food trucks.
Okay.
I
good
think
deal.
they're backing off on the food trucks.
Okay.
I think we needed the town code, because is it not addressed or not addressed correctly, Chief, in the town code?
Actually, they were not contracted for our sign ordinance in totality. They were only doing the food truck portion of the food truck portion as it pertained to the CRA area, and the sign ordinance as it pertains to the CRA area. For the sign ordinance for the entire town, they are not doing that.
Oh, okay, okay.
25 grand to do sign code ordinance for food trucks?
No, I think this 25 was the signs. I mean, we were moving down where signs on the light poles, and this was budgeting for wayfinding signs throughout town and all of that, and then we came to a stop when, our code doesn't allow it. So this is to go purchase wayfinding signs, call it the flags coming down from light poles and things like that.
Thank you. I
was this
misunderstood. I thought this
budget,
was
yeah.
work we were doing on code that Central
No,
Florida
that's
Regional.
probably 50,000. No, I'm just joking.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
this
that's
was,
there to
once the,
note
once,
that in order to do those projects, we're going to need sign code changes.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause otherwise
Okay.
we can make the signs, but we can't put them up.
yeah. In
Okay, thank you.
fact, they
Okay.
were doing that. They even had which one they were going to order in that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So we're leaving the signage and banners at 25 and 15 respectively? Okay.
Will these signs turn into something like the Christmas decorations, where it's a project a couple times a year for the employees to go out there and deal with? I mean, I hate to, I've
think-
already had this discussion about this before I got here on council, but some of this stuff just seems cumbersome for the employees to have to deal with, for just signs. If they're busy doing other things, taking care of roadways, right-of-ways, parks, now to add 50 signs up and down the street to have to deal with, seems like one more nuisance they shouldn't have to deal with. So I'm not really thrilled about signs, one way or the other. It just seems a little unnecessary to me. But
Well, I know there's been discussion about, you know, we don't want the town to look like there's just a bunch of signs and flags and stuff like that. We want it to be tasteful. So to your point, I think that's a good point, that we don't want to end up with too many. But the merchants and the people in town are adamant that we have something. So I think we need to find a nice middle ground in between.
So not to get too deep in the weeds, but if our people go and they're putting up flags or they're putting up Christmas decorations and all those are located within the CRA, can the CRA write a check to the town and pay for some of that time?
I don't think so. I don't think the CRA can pay for any people to work. They can pay for product, but not people to work, I don't think.
I would need to look at the plan specifically, but I would lean towards what Councilwoman Nell Hayes is saying. But I'd look at the plan, maybe we can put it as a program or something of that nature and try to work it out. But let me look at it and see if we can find something there anyways.
And I know this came up last CRA meeting, and we want to be careful of how much administrative effort we're going to do to determine how much of so-and-so's time was just doing that in order to get, so there's going to be a trade-off of moving it from one budget to the other, and I get it, but there's going to, I don't want to shovel a lot of work on our side that's auditable of challenging how did we come up with that. Mm-hmm. I know in the past, Jennifer had told us that we could hire a project manager for all of the CRA and charge that, because that's something, you know, definitive, so we could do that. And that's why, and we'll come back at some point once we see all these, because at some point it's going to be a lot more work to get these projects done that are CRA. So we tried to go down the route. We didn't get anybody that applied for the job, but to just have a project manager over these CRA, and then we can get them going faster.
And Madam Mayor, I agree. I don't want to have us tracking 15-minute periods of time. But with these CRA funds, if there are these things that we're spending thousands of dollars to do that are within the CRA district, whether it's policing festivals, whether it's putting up banners in there, these big identifiable chunk expenses, everything that can get charged off appropriately to the CRA means less general fund, more general fund resources saved.
No. Fair enough. And that's where, Mike, I appreciate looking into that, because, you know, we've even talked about maintenance inside the CRA. Nope, we can't charge that. That's operations. So usually it's the tangible purchases and things that are done up front, except for a project manager could be, because they're managing the projects.
Okay.
So fair enough. And thank you for those comments.
So the next one's streetscape lighting. I think there's, I'm sorry, I lost my
I think this has been the pots, right? Is the
This is-
streetscape has
yeah,
been
I
the
think this
pots
was
and the
all part of the-
landscaping, and that.
So right now, there's a 20,685.35 in that fund.
Balance in this area. But I think, Alan, this is where we're using some of this money for the lighting, better lighting in
Devane Park.
in Devane Park. So we'll leave that 20,000 for now. And then the next one is
Where do you see that? Streetscape and lighting?
Page 8.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
yeah, it kind of
Flipped
rolls
instead of
over a
turning.
Yeah,
little.
it kind of cut off. from-
It's cut off.
Yeah, I was looking at the 426. I see the 20 now. Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, it scrolled. Next one is the flower pots. And what do we have here, Eva? We've got 16,000 left over from.
Yep, that's leftover. That's leftover.
That's left over.
Have we bought all the pots we're gonna buy? As far as y'all know?
I think so. Yeah, I think
Good.
the last ones were on Main, South Main. And this one's, I think this is excess money that could be allocated elsewhere.
We were getting some feedback from merchants on Interlake that where were their pots? But was there something about that there wasn't room enough for pots, Alan? Was that? I know they were complaining. How
believe
come
that-
these two have pots and we don't have pots?
Yeah, I believe the discussion was how many were originally planned for and already had irrigation plumbed up for that. I can tell you that was handled by someone other than me. I don't have a whole lot of information regarding that.
I'm not hearing any of that you just said.
I wasn't overseeing that project, so I don't have a whole lot of information as far as how many were supposed to be there versus how many are there. So to my knowledge, the ones that are there are the ones that were initially planned for.
Okay. So there shouldn't be
Chief
any more?
has some updates, because I thought it was 5 on Interlake, and they're in. 5 big ones, and where the pavers were, the like little cutout paver areas. Chief?
We were able to put all the pots that we had scheduled to go on Interlake on the pavers where we had irrigation. We were not able to put any more in than what was put on Interlake. So the project is complete with all the pots that were able to go out there.
Okay.
So why don't we take 10 grand out of it, leave 6 grand there, just in case we decide to put a few more in,
Okay,
and put 10 grand somewhere else.
okay.
And in regards to Johns Park, I wouldn't spend any more time researching it, just do what you need to do there. I think that's,
Okay.
I think that was going to be awesome if you put those electrical outlets in that park and light it up at night. That'd be awesome.
So we're leaving that at 30 for Johns Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Park Street sidewalk. Is 30 going to be enough there, Alan? Do you have a?
That was being handled by Dennis. I know that he had run into some issues. I don't remember if it was deciding which side of the road that it was going to be on, because I believe he was going to put it on the north side of Park Street, and that would have gone through those several residences' property versus putting it going through the tax collector's office and being on the south side. He had it surveyed. I don't have a whole lot more information as to why it stopped, but I know he ran into some issue, but I don't know what.
so let's add the $10,000 we just took out of pots and put it in that project and work towards getting that project completed. I think we all kind of agreed that maybe even some of that would be just marking off some of the street and not trying to build into that hill down by the Historical Society. But I really think that's a project we ought to be pushing forward, to have a good wide sidewalk that connects the Historical Society and the Chamber. I don't even care if we have to go up one side, then cross over and do some more on one other side, but there ought to be a decent path to take you to those areas.
Alan's group did paint the curbing yellow and on the way to the Historical Society, because people were parking. So you come down in front of the Masons as a sidewalk, and then it stops. And so people were then coming out in the road, but there's cars parking there, so we've blocked off that they can't park. And at least, I was even thinking to put some more yellow in the road as like a striping to make it clear nobody can park there, and then people can continue to walk.
Exactly.
It's temporary, because the challenge is going to be that hill going up to the mural, right? And that's what's happening, as people will climb up the hill to look at the mural, and there were cars parking right there, so I think that at least has helped a little. But yeah, the challenge of a sidewalk, but I agree, to get a sidewalk all the way from there to the Chamber would be important. Okay?
So the pavers is a little overage from that project. So you had one that came in short, and this one's over
So this is extra money.
the 5,005,
Okay,
yeah.
can we get reallocated somewhere?
The Stewart, you're talking about the Stewart Park pavers?
Yes.
So if we go to the next one, I would like to ask you all to consider putting a lot more money in the Stewart Park electrical. I mean, I was thinking another 20, 30 grand, and I really think we ought to, as you know, I've advocated for Stewart Drive or Stewart Street or whatever it is, you know, putting lights across it, lighting that whole area up. I really think that ought to be one of the areas that we even add to our fee schedule to be able to block off that road for events, and that's where we hold a lot of these downtown events, is in Stewart Street.
Do you, just to clarify, do you want, say, overhead gooseneck lights on one side and poles on the other side to run zigzag, or just say poles and run like that, that?
What I envision, like what
overhead?
we see in a lot of cities, and like Sebring has it now around their circle, and that is they have poles on both sides, and then they have the string lights. And it, you know, it just lights up that whole area, looks kind of neat. And I'm not even beginning to try to engineer it. I'm assuming there would have to be a half a dozen to 8 poles on both sides of Stewart to string crisscrossing, you know, lights. And where we could, if you wanted to, you could turn on a switch and they would light up all of Stewart. Because my idea is, when we have food truck rallies, we have certain events, maybe we even have yard sales, I mean, that we ought to, that'd be a very easy street to close down. And then we aren't wearing out the grass, we aren't wearing out the park, but the pavilion's there, the restrooms there, you know, and that's a great place, right almost in the geographic center of downtown to have events. So I'd like for us to amplify the electric there, have you all look into what it would cost to create, to light that entire street. Not talking about shining lights down in it, I'm talking about
Like
the
Journal
string
Plaza,
lights.
when you come up to Journal Plaza, you see
Right.
everything strong. So you want to add 30, and we'll take the 5,000 from up above and throw it in there?
Sure. And we will see what the budget brings.
And the bollard lighting for inside the park too, I think is important.
Right.
For wayfaring, and so you don't trip on any of those
Right.
pavers.
No, I agree.
If we do bollard lighting at the same time, that might
Yeah.
significantly increase the.
We ought to
events.
really be able, whether it's the Halloween deal, whatever it is, that we really ought to be able to light that park up to have nighttime events in there.
Tastefully, but
Yeah, yes.
Probably better to put that on timer every night till like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, so we don't have to have people going back and forth. Just kick on every night, 7 nights a week.
Good
Something
idea.
to think about, anyway.
At least the ones in the park, maybe not so much the ones across, but the ones in the park for sure. I think that would be nice.
Let's do them all. Yep. Worry about that later.
Yeah. So that's up to,
35.
is it up
We
to?
added 35, we'll do 55. We
It's
added
55, we're
35.
adding 35.
Adding 35.
Added 35.
The 16,000 has already been expended from this year.
All right, so we're good, 55, okay.
I think we talked about, before we spent too much money in Taylor Park sidewalk, figuring out kind of what the whole deal for the neighborhood was. And I don't care if we want to leave the money there, but let's don't do too many sidewalks that people are going to immediately drive over and break.
That's definitely not enough money for there. We need to do a lot of work in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
15,000 won't even touch what needs to be done in there. It looks like there's a loop on the inside of that block that runs around that park that's there. The sidewalk's not on both sides of the street, it's on the inside set of houses there. I haven't looked at it in a while, just off the top of my head. But that whole thing would probably have to be redone, particularly if the runners are wanting to add it into the loop. It's going to be a major project when that time comes.
Well,
We also have to get the people not to park on that sidewalk, because the cars block the sidewalk and down that whole street. That's been kind of a tough situation with the people who live there, so there'll be a lot to consider when we start doing that.
well, if we're going to, what you're talking about doing is just fixing up just in the immediate park area initially.
Well, no, do the whole neighborhood. I mean, you're
Okay.
looking at probably 1,000 feet or more down, 1,500 feet, and turn and come back the other way, it's gonna be a pretty big expense to do that.
That-
That whole sidewalk's pretty well messed up.
That
And
neighborhood
narrow.
has significant stormwater in that area as well, so you might need to do some kind of curb system and
Yeah, those houses on the north side, the whole front of the house is washed out on some of them. The step is like 3 feet down to get into the front door. It's kind of crazy the way the houses are exposed there. So that will be an issue.
Wouldn't that be eligible for like a CDBG grant? A community development grant? I mean, I mean, everybody's looking at me like, okay, because the last time it's been a while since Highway Park has been, applying for them with a lot of success.
So it
Seems
might
like
take,
that might be an area that we can even look into, because 15,000's not going to do anything, like
but
you're saying.
you know
That
what, it
whole-
might be 15 grand just to study it, just to get some, it might take
Could
some
be.
seed money just to figure out
Yeah.
what needs to be done there, so we can leave the money in there and just use it as the seed money to figure out what needs to be
Yeah.
done.
If we
Like-
could do a section at a time, do 20,000 a year for 3 or 4 years in a row and work it out instead of just,
I like the idea of leaving 15,000 in there for
A plan.
a study or engineering or something, so we can see what we really do need to have there. And then once we have a study by an engineer or whatever, then we can go for that community development grant. The letters are bad.
I know.
But we would have to have that in order to go for the grant anyway.
Agree. And to Councilmember Sapp's comments, the bottom of Lake Richard down there, there's a sand washout all the time. And I'm surprised they haven't come screaming at, when can we get this resolved? That whole area, if you drive down there and you try to make that curve, there's always
yeah,
sand
it's
and a
awful.
washout
All
right
those
there.
alleyways, yeah.
So sidewalks is one thing, fixing the drainage is probably a priority. So that's a good point. Let's use that for
I think one of the issues with that, though, was that the Serenity Village owners' problem, or was it the town's problem, as far as the sidewalk and all of that? And I think that's where we kind of got bollocksed up as to
there are
whose
no
problem it
owners
was.
there. It's not a neighborhood organization or a person who's responsible for that whole neighborhood like you would have
It
in
used to be.
HOA and some areas. I think that's all gone away. There was really no one to contact to make that happen.
Jack Shives built all that in the first place. But I just assumed he was at least somehow still involved in that, because that was his deal. The whole Serenity Village was Jack Shives.
Okay. Taylor Park irrigation. And then that's in the park there. There
I
is
know
no-
we're holding off on that, but again, then why don't we make that $20,000? Because if we're going to really put a well and do stuff, it's,
I believe we could actually take that out. There is existing city water in the backside. At one time, that park was irrigated. We ran into issues with, say, water pressure issues. It was about 20 to 25 pounds. And eventually, once all the grass got established and the landscaping was taken out of the corner, it was shut down after that. Technically, the pipes are already in the ground. We would just have to try to reestablish city water back to it. And we may not want to irrigate all the whole lawn. We might just want to do trees around that park, or the playground, I should say.
so I'm just curious. When we use town water, potable water, do we meter it and charge ourselves and pay to the utility and true up our cup permit? I'm wondering, I would just hate to see tens of thousands of gallons, then it causes discrepancy in permitted quantities. And if we're using our own water, even if we have to create a new thing at some small rate, we ought to be monitoring what that amount is.
There are meters, there are meters in place,
Okay, so at least we're metering it.
metering it, yes.
We just don't charge ourselves for it.
Correct.
Okay.
So are you saying we can pull this amount?
Yes, you could pull that,
Okay.
and I believe we
Reallocate
can
it.
probably,
I know it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, but if we're truly trying to account for what our costs are, we ought to be paying some rate per 1,000 gallons for public use.
it'll be way better in the long run to put a well in and not mess with the city water. That adds up in a hurry. If you're 100 gallons a minute for an hour at a time, you're looking at, what's that, 6,000
I
gallons
believe,
an hour?
the idea behind it was to establish trees around the playground so there's shade in the long run. Either way,
And you're using enough for 3 houses with
Okay.
every irrigation cycle, I would think.
It's fine, you want to keep it at a well
Yeah, I think
then?
we should leave it in there.
Okay. Okay, and the next one was the trees for the park, right? Did I miss one?
Where's the trees?
Did I?
Yes, it's next one down.
Oh, we're on paving.
Did we skip one?
No, the trees. Trees
We-
is
we were talking about
5,000. We'll leave
irrigation.
those in.
We're leaving the irrigation, and I guess we'll probably.
Yeah, we're leaving the irrigation in for the well, the 10,000, and then the next,
I think 5,000 is good for that.
Yeah.
Trees don't cost that much. You get 25-gallon oak trees and pop them in the ground. You can get a bunch of trees for $5,000.
okay? And then we're into paving, road paving.
So that's done, there was just 22,000 extra dollars, right?
yeah, Waldo Aliff is complete. Yes, that is 22,000 extra, but there are multiple other roads that are in need of it.
So we can
which
throw that
The proposed list.
into
that,
some road, yeah, as we get to a list, Alan put, kind of a list of, and there's other roads that we can throw that money at. So we've got 22,000 that we can reallocate. That's it for the current projects. So this next sheet was, I asked staff, just come up with ideas that you have, and that have been given to you of what are some proposed projects. The first one, so the first one is something interesting called abatements, and I have $25,000. I asked the town attorney to look at our CRA plan, and since it's for slum and blight, we've got some properties around town that, in fact, he had suggested maybe rather than go down the foreclosure and how expensive that is, we could do a nuisance abatement. And so we would just have to budget the money. And so I'm going to ask him to bring y'all up to speed on the research that we've done and how this fits nicely within CRA, that we could budget $25,000, and then there's at least one project I want to start on, and I think that there might be some more. So, Mike, you want to give us a short summary of how this is? It's new to CRA, but it's something we definitely can pursue.
Sure. Did the CRA council have an opportunity to review the memo yet, or would you want me to
I did.
get into that a little bit more? I think if you look at the image that was provided with the house. on
Yeah, I actually
Gladiolus.
then took a picture of, and I think you're all familiar, it's gladiolus and spruce. We've been like 4 or 5 years trying to foreclose on it for different reasons. No one would want to live next to that. I mean, it's right at kitty corner from one of our parks even. So I thought this is a great one. I actually got a cost for $7,500 to completely demolish it and clear it away. So it was kind of a test case. Mike, can we do this? Mike says, yep, we can do it. Bring it to the CRA. If we budget for it, then we can go down a nuisance abatement. But yeah, this house here, the tree's nice, right? But the property is,
That's not nice.
well, the bush or the whatever. But I mean, and this has been sitting here like this. So, and again, we've spent a lot of money, with Bert and through the courts to get nowhere, so.
Yeah, and I'll just go up 80,000 feet. You have a situation where we have properties that do not meet minimum housing code. That's chip paint, gutters, things of that nature. When you have properties of this nature, this is beyond minimum housing. This is basically a public health, safety, and welfare issue. And then we started looking at the funding for this and looking at the council actually funding some of this. Well, then the mayor said, well, what about the CRA? And looking through the CRA plan, and specifically, you have adopted to fund code enforcement plans. Everything needs to be a plan to survive audit. On this particular property, the council has authorized foreclosure. You did code enforcement, you have liens being assessed and rising. But we're going to spend $15,000 to foreclose the property. And then I'm going to come to you and say, you are the proud owners of this property. Oh, by the way, it has a nuisance on it. And now you're going to spend another $7,500 to abate that nuisance because everybody would be coming in here for that. My suggestion is that identify these properties that are creating the blight. That's the overall standard of a CRA. And abate those conditions for the economic development of property values. Use the CRA funds to do so. And handle it that way rather than trying to foreclose on these properties. Now, we have some nuances. Generally, your council and your commissions hear the nuisance criteria. You hear the evidence, is it a nuisance from the building official, fire marshal, and so forth. Under our code, it appears you have two paths. And I think you can grant that authority by resolution to the magistrate. I would like to talk to the magistrate first to see. They would hear the nuisance criteria. Does this property meet the nuisance? Yes. Go ahead and enter that order that it's a nuisance. And go ahead and start levying a fine per day to get some leverage there. And in the interim, we go ahead and bid out the project, see what it would cost to abate that condition, and bring that to the CRA to get authority to expend those funds to abate that condition. And that would be the end of it. If need be, if the town council wanted to hear these cases, then we would just bring and present that to town council. Now, what we're not talking about is giving people paint and gutters and things of that nature to improve their properties in order to comply with the code. We're talking about those properties that have clearly gone beyond the economic return on investment.
So to abate that property, I'm assuming means knocking it down.
Correct.
So in this process, is this seed money that we are then going to seek through fines and all that to recapture that so we can use it again?
Yes, what would happen here is you would lien the property for the cost of the abatement. Right now, you have ghost liens of fines, and now we're going to spend another $15,000, $20,000 on a foreclosure. And I've just handed you deed to a piece of property with a nuisance on it that you have to spend another $7,500. My
We're
recommendation.
shortcutting the process, basically.
That's my recommendation, and for the public health, safety, and welfare.
And we would hope that whatever the abatement was, that lot then, without said house, becomes a marketable lot that we then sell and recapture all or most of the money we spent to abate it.
You wouldn't own the lot through the abatement process. You would have a lien on it, but it does protect the neighbors. It increases economic value. You don't have children playing in it and possibly getting hurt. Then if you decided to foreclose for whatever reason, then you could proceed under that. But, I don't know if you want to spend 2 years in litigation in attempting to foreclose, because a lot of these properties, the big issue is the parties, they just don't have the means to do so.
But who owns the property? After we knock it down and it's just a piece of land, who owns that property at that point?
Same person.
They will maintain ownership of the real property, the dirt.
Whomever owns it right now.
Right, whoever owns it right now would maintain ownership. If we went through a foreclosure, after a couple of years of litigation, we would own both the dirt and the nuisance, so have to abate the nuisance and go from there. I think the purpose of it is to enhance, get rid of the blight for economic development. Let's do that and then go from there. It may sell that way, and then you can collect your lien.
When they sell, then they owe that
Correct.
abatement money
Correct.
to the town.
Back to us.
Correct.
Right.
It-
We have a lien.
And does our fines, so we'll just use this as an example. It goes to Ms. Hayes. We knock it down, clean it up, it's now a vacant lot, it still belongs to the Smiths. If the Smiths decide to rebuild, does our code allow us to deny a building permit until the fines are paid?
I'd have to research the code, but that would be a good idea to add some caveat there that the property would be brought into compliance, so the liens would stop accruing, the fine would. We could look at that and also address that as well.
Do we continue to fine them after the abatement, or are you only fining them up to the abatement's completed?
Up to the abatement's completed.
So in a weird way, you almost want to be fining them for a while to build up enough of a, so that it's just not a couple $100 worth of fines, it's now thousands or tens of thousands of dollars,
Yeah,
to incentivize us to get paid back so we can reuse that money.
to give you some leverage in negotiating.
Right.
Right, because you're going to have your $7,500 in this case, let's say, plus if you had another $5,000, $7,000 in liens, then you have something to negotiate. I would never recommend, unless there was good cause, to reduce your lien to any hard costs you had. And the courts look at these code enforcement activities. When you start taking people's property, their real property foreclosure, the government does, the courts really look at these foreclosures, number one. It's not a banking institution where somebody agreed to borrow money and it was a contract. This is the government applying a regulation and the government taking land through a foreclosure. And there's a lot of cases out there, if you don't have your notice right, you didn't notice the right people, you didn't give the right hearings, they get set aside. My view is when you're abating a nuisance, you show this photograph in circuit court later on, and you basically abated the condition for the public health, safety, and welfare for $7,500. You weren't taking advantage, trying to take somebody's land. You're golden, in my view, from a public policy standpoint.
You're going to get at least that money back.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay, now I just want to make sure I understood.
I can tell we're getting hung up on this, but they can't get a loan on the property to build a house with a lien on it, so they're handicapped there to start. This needs to stay with the magistrate. It doesn't need to come through us, because he'll handle it the whole way through. And these people, even if we get the property straight for them, are not going to mow and maintain it, so it's going to continue to be a nuisance. And it'll come back for the magistrate again with the not mowing it and taking care of it. So it needs to stay with them as much as possible, unless it has to come to us. That way, it's on his plate the whole time. And I think it keeps it clean for him. The magistrate will be aware of what's happening, whoever that is, at the time.
Agreed. And what I'm seeing in the courts in recent years, and I would make the argument as well, you have a piece of property, a lot, vacant lot mowing, and you have a $500,000 lien on it. You start pushing against the Eighth Amendment, takings, unjustified fines, unjustified prison sentences, things of that nature. So when you start owing $500,000 on a $10,000 lot, it does bounce up against the Constitution. The recommendation often is liens should not be too much greater than the value of the land, and then the government needs to do something about the violation. You don't want to see people owing thousands of dollars for parking a car on the sidewalk. We need to address that parking on the sidewalk somehow, some way. And I do agree, if we can keep this with the magistrate, and I would probably recommend some of our, like Sebring, they have a great mowing, high grass nuisance abatement. They have a contractor that takes care of it. The grass and weeds are kept down. It's $25, $30 a mow. It gets lean. The folks pay for it. And to Councilman Sapp's point of view, you're right. The lien will prevent probably funding on that. So somehow they'll have to negotiate with us to get it down.
And the goal is to get an owner who will take care of the property. So if you have a $500,000 lien and the guy wants to sell it to somebody, the town would more than likely release a lien to put another owner in there. They're not tied to a $500,000 if it ever reached that hypothetical point. It's just a tool to get a different owner who will maintain the property and make the neighbors happy around. So it's all workable.
So is this enough money for you all to get started?
I think it's enough to get started.
Okay.
And just on this property, a kind of an additional twist is this property a couple times has gone under tax sale, right? So they're not paying their property taxes. It goes out, somebody, puts whatever the terminology that they have on it. And they probably come and look at the property and go, nope, not interested. So it is interesting how that there have been tax deeds on this almost every 2 years. Okay. So if it gets cleared, it may actually sell. And that would, so this was I think $25,000. If it takes $7,500 to knock that down, that's great. It also starts sending messages to other people that aren't upkeeping their property. There's other lots that are the mowing and there's tires dumped on them and things like that that we could use, some money for, but there you're probably talking under $1,000. So, okay? And then the next one is like, and these are ideas, all right? So there's nothing set in stone. This is just a tornado siren warning. We don't have anything in the town now. So we've talked about in the past Devane Park restrooms. We're kind of, we have the plans from the Stewart Park restrooms. Well, I think we're estimating 70,000, could be less, could be right around there. So just want to throw that
I'm in
out.
favor of the Devane Park restrooms. I'm
Where-
not too keen on the tornado deal.
But
Okay.
where would they be located, the Devane Park restrooms?
So we don't have a definitive. We'd come back to you with that. We have had the discussion. In fact, Brandon's here, and we've talked about, okay, where's the sewer line coming through? And it seems like without committing to it, it's more feasible somewhere closer to the Green Dragon. I don't like where the car show had their porta potties. They were like directly as you come down, that's the first thing you see,
Yes,
coming
that's
into
right.
town. Didn't like that at all. So maybe somewhere over there, so that we can take advantage of the sewer lines already there, but yet cosmetically, aesthetically hidden. I actually wanted it on the other side, but then the sewer line isn't there. So if you give us the budget, we'll come back with exactly where that would be. Okay, so, and on some of these is, we can put them on the 10-year plan, right? We can put them as something in the future, just to kind of hold that thought, never moving, versus moving forward. Alan, you had Main Street, Main Avenue irrigation improvements and resodding. And you know what I'll do is, I'll let you all take a look at this list, and is there anything that piques your interest to bring it forward? Versus others, we'll just keep on a list and maybe move them to a 10-year thought.
I'll just say, the Devane Park restrooms, I modeled that off, the price off of, in 2016, we paid $56,000 for the one at Stewart Park. Well, I know there was one more recently built at Lake June, but in our system, I wasn't sure who did the construction, and I don't know what the more current number is.
Like that idea a lot.
Okay?
I like spending money on the irrigation and resodding on Main where it needs it. I
Okay.
like the idea of doing some improved lighting on Main,
Yeah, that light, when you start to get south on Main, it gets pretty
I
dark.
know. And you can see Councilmember Royce, he already has your decorative lighting over Stewart Park.
Yeah,
So
so we already
see?
have 55. We don't
You
have to
want
have
another
this whole 80.
We can take that out.
Yeah, that was 80,000 because I wasn't sure what style, if you just wanted the poles or if you wanted decorative lighting like around. So that number could be brought down to what you said earlier.
So why would the town put school zone flashing signals? Why wouldn't the county or the schools do that?
I had a problem with that when I first got on town council, with the town having to pay for crossing guards. And
Right.
those are for actual town kids that are in town. The town should not have had to pay for Green Dragon Drive. That infuriated me, because everybody uses that. But the crossing guards are mostly for kids who walk up and down town. So I got shut down on any arguments I had against that. So we're probably going to have to eat that one either way. I agree with you. The school board should have to pay for that or contribute, and they may. But with everyone fighting for money, I don't really see that happening.
So the locations for those two, there was just signs sitting there now that are outdated time frames on them. And the police have approached me for several years about getting those signs there, because if you come from that direction, you're already in between the other flashing lights. We maintained the two on Green Dragon. This was just kind of something that was in the back of my mind that had been mentioned to me in the past.
What about trying to do something on the other side, where the railroad tracks are, where was it East Lake comes across? I know we've talked about it in the past. It'd be a tough spot to, that's even in the CRA. It's on the south side of town, on the backside of
Okay,
little
gotcha.
field they just put in, the track and field area.
Where the Y is.
Half the kids from school go that way, not half, but a good portion go that way, and they're just cut loose into the railroad tracks and cars crossing. It's a pretty crazy street right there. And it was a lot to put a crossing guard there. It'd be just too much, I think, but be nice to have some kind of push a button, flash the lights, have the kids stop somehow, have the car stop somehow. It's really hard to do. I don't know how we do it, but something to be considered somehow.
Yeah, I know, like you say, the boundaries are right in that area. I'm not sure exactly where you're talking about, but I know Marquardt is out of it.
Right there where Marquardt comes out on East Lake, you'd have to make that left or cut straight across there. It almost split, go behind Mikey's place there, the other place we've had a problem with, I guess.
The other beautification exit, yeah, exhibit.
By your brother's place there, where Steve just moved in, along that area.
Yeah, I mean, I get, not to belabor, but that's why using the magistrate always worries me, because we aren't having any success with the nuisance there.
I thought we were, but I haven't kept up with it. I don't know.
It's better
Bowers.
than it was, but it's not done.
The other one, yeah, it's
It's a sore spot. That's a different issue.
Yep.
Let's move on.
right there at the, and then the Spruce Park that's the little pocket park, right? Three lots away from this house that we want to bait, and it's pretty rundown equipment, and they do use it a lot, and that's another one during the playground inspection said, replace it as soon as possible.
This money wasn't going to be for one full structure. We were going to do like a lot of smaller pieces, balance beams and things to climb on. Generally cost about $4,000 to $7,000 per piece of equipment. And the children have repeatedly asked for something other than swings, because it's a standard set of swings there, a T-swing that was removed from Lake June Park years ago and then placed there, and a set of monkey bars that are probably from the 60s.
It's like the leftover used, repurpose it, don't get rid of it, but move it to that area.
It's okay as long as it works. Doesn't matter. They just need good equipment there, and I'm all about playgrounds. I think it's a good thing. So if that's enough, not enough, sounds like there's money to add to it if we need to. Then if you think 35 is good for now, we can roll with that and adjust it, I think, down the road if we need to.
Yeah, because that's another one, we can go to RPAC. We can get 2 from RPAC. We haven't asked RPAC for much.
And this is still just a wish list, so we're just
Yep.
spinning our wheels
That's
here.
exactly, because what we'll do is we'll go back and throw it all together and see where we're at. Okay? And anything else? And then, of course, Alan has a lot of paving, right? There's a lot of paving that needs to be done.
We definitely should do Hillcrest.
Okay?
That's a well-used.
The sidewalk replacement in front of the old town hall
Oh.
on the side lot, we'll probably have to find out, is that county right-of-way? It's in the CRA district, but it's probably just on the other side of, Interlake being around the circle. I don't know if that is theirs to replace or if that's on us.
Can you follow up on that then?
Yes, I can speak with
Yeah, because that is
Jonathan
getting a little
Harrison.
rough there.
Yeah,
That's going
'cause-
to be by the dog park, right?
Yeah, and it's actually almost to the library too. It's kind of that whole little strip has
Yeah.
some broken and uneven, sidewalk.
I know when they had redone the park years back, they had made there's only one section where there's a crosswalk, but then it just dead ends in front of the medical offices. So that's why I wasn't sure why that was even there unless someone was intending to extend on it, but it just never happened. So I believe there's supposed to be a sidewalk going around the outer perimeter all the way around that park.
So speaking of the dog park, why is the dog park not in this year's CRA budget?
Because it should be on here. Did we skip it over? It's somewhere on what we just went through. We had taken it from before and we had 20,000 allocated.
I just didn't remember seeing it in any
Well,
of these items.
as you say that, I'm thinking it too, because did we combine it with something?
It's somewhere in here because I made a
It
note
is.
on it because it's $100,000 for a dog park.
No, it's 20.
It was
No, I
20.
saw it was 100.
It's
and then
20.
There was another spot, there was 100 again.
I thought I saw 70 or 80 for the dog park,
No.
20 to get it started and see how it went, like on a 3-month trial or something. It seems like there's something
Oh,
weird with
the
that.
plan was 20, because it's going to be a fence, a drinking fountain, a couple benches.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a fence
That's why I
and
said,
a lot of crazy stuff that,
I think what happened is we pulled it from a bigger budget. So there
Yeah,
might have been a
double check on this.
70,000 for something, and we pulled 20 out of it. But
Bottom
yeah,
line, it needs to be in the CRA budget.
it is somewhere. At least we're clipping along at 20,000 budget. The fence went out to bid. We should be getting that in another 10 days, and then we'll know how much we need. But really, it's going to be the fencing. It'll be a water fountain, picnic tables. So it's not,
I think we need to do parking there of some sort. It's not fair to put that on the insurance company next door or expect the people using it to walk from the library. They're not going to do that. I think it's going to be a nuisance for the neighbor there. So it's something to consider, be putting parking, little sidewalk walking into it or something to make it a one-stop place instead of having to split and share. And I think parking will be an issue if people will actually use it.
so the thinking, and we've already talked to First Insurance, because just to make them aware that it's not planned that people will park there, is the basketball court, because most are coming to exercise their dogs anyways. And a lot actually are exercising their dog on leash inside of Devane Park. So it would be the basketball court, follow the sidewalk, and then off leash into the dog park.
here we have right here.
Did you find it?
I'm on page 22 of the town budget. On town general fund, it says splash pad dog park. And it says, I believe it's in 2026 because the year numbers were off the top. And it's 100,000 there and 100,000 in 27.
What,
I'm on
are
page-
you on the, you're on the CIP? I think
Yes.
you're on the 5-year CIP.
Yeah, I'm
Does
on
it say
yeah.
where the funding's coming from? Because the dog park was CRA. We just need,
We need to adjust
we,
that.
we have it somewhere. I mean, it is CRA, and it was pulling money from,
I know it's right there.
what page is that?
Because there's 100,000 there. And
Page
it's a CIP,
22,
man.
the
Yeah,
capital
page-
improvement schedule.
Yeah, it's a capital improvement. Does it say where that funding is coming from for that? That's kind of the big.
General fund.
Yeah, that says town general fund. That's what it says.
Go ahead, Eva, did you find it?
Okay. So I think the CIP, the one that was adopted, the dog park was taken off of. We just used the spreadsheet. We didn't take the dog park wording off. When you approved the CIP, you approved taking that dog park wording off. It's just not reflecting it there. So it is not on the CIP currently.
But it is in the
But I'm looking
CRA somewhere.
It's in the CRA somewhere. I
Need to
don't
go
know, maybe
back.
my spreadsheet didn't filter through properly. I'm not
It's-
sure.
It's also on page 26.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an error. That was not the one that is
So
adopted
the
with the
budget for
ordinance.
dog park that we're working from CRA is 20,000. It was pulled from another project
Yes.
6 months ago, 4 months ago.
So that should say splash pad and not dog park.
Correct.
The CIP?
The CIP.
The one that- yeah, right.
So the one that got adopted, I think that was the spreadsheet we had after you made a motion to adopt the CIP. I removed it. So on the ordinance, you see it removed with the backup. That spreadsheet we pulled is accurate, but the wording wasn't removed.
So we have $200,000 over a 2-year period for a splash pad.
Yeah, that's,
But when we do the CIP, we can change all that. That was what was submitted, right?
Okay.
And I think, again, it was supposed to be splash pad playground. It was like combos of them things.
Okay.
Okay, anything more on CRA projects? Oh, any other ideas? Okay,
We beat that horse.
so I think
pretty
you've
good.
given us enough direction, which is good, and we'll pull that together and see where we are. I'm going to go ahead, unless there's any other comments, I'm going to close the CRA meeting. And so it's 6:42, and I call this meeting adjourned. So now we'll just go ahead and roll into the budget workshop. Okay, I'm going to now call to order the 2025, 26, 27 budget workshop on August 6th, and it's 6:42 p.m. Eva, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Charles,
Here.
Councilmember Royce,
Here,
Councilmember Hayes,
Here.
Councilmember Sapp,
Here,
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick up on some of the items that we didn't get to at the last workshop, and actually, I think we're going to be able to clip through this, and I think we feel there's probably no need for a third budget workshop. We'll go back and pull the numbers together, and actually, you'll see on Monday's agenda, I just put any budget changes, because as we go away for the weekend, as you talk to people over the next course, somebody may come back with another something. We can talk about it then Monday. And our plan is the first and the second meeting in September when we will do the readings for the budget. So we have some time to do some tweaks, as seed fit, and even bring them up at the first two meetings in August. So I think we're going to flip around this agenda, if that's okay, because I've asked Dana to come and to talk about on the planning, and that's page 4 and 5. What's interesting is, and you'll see, this is revenue, right? These fees are revenue to the town, and over the years, there's been areas that we haven't collected revenue that we should. And so that's when we put together, and I do need to back up, is over the last couple budget cycles, Councilmember Hayes, as you'll remember, Eva was putting together a budget fee booklet, and we had workshops, and we just never got it over the finish line. Throughout our Muni Code, we have fees that are embedded in the Muni Code, which means if we want to change those fees, we have to have an ordinance, we have to have first and second reading. We have other fees that we just adopt through resolution. So what the idea here and the plan is pulling all these fees together to where we approve them, and then asking our town attorney, which he's already working on, then to pull together an ordinance that will allow these to move to a resolution in the future. So that'll allow us every year during budget to set the fees versus going to first and second reading. So that's the plan, and this is the first, if you will, cut at, what we're recommending, what the current fee is, and what we are recommending for the proposed. Of course, we can change the proposed however you want. We're here to answer any questions, but then going forward, it'll make the process a lot easier. So with that, I've asked Dana, because you'll see Dana has a lot in the zoning area for us, not as much the building area for Highlands County. We've never charged fees before, but we can. And to be consistent with, that opportunity, as we're looking for revenue, here's areas.
so Madam Mayor, I looked through all these. To me, the fees, for the most part, all seem fine. The rentals are all fine. Are we going to be doing more of this work versus farming it out to Highlands County, or are we already doing it and not charging?
We're already doing it and not charging.
Okay, so my main question on page 5, I just want to make sure I understand under site plans and landscaping, where it's $500. I don't have any problem with the application fee. $500 a sheet. I don't know, pardon my ignorance, I don't know whether or not people turn in 2 sheets or 20 sheets. I mean, that seems to be the new big increases per sheet.
Yeah, so we are severely undercharging for commercial site plan review and plating review. And so Highlands County charges $500 per sheet, so it's on par with what Highlands County does. Some would say that they're undercharging as well compared to other larger counties.
Okay, so what we're charging for is not in addition to Highlands County. I mean, it's in substitute, or we're not an applicant's not being double hit by both us and Highlands County.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I see we've doubled the large scale and increased substantially the small scale comprehensive plan amendments on here. Does that match what the county does? You went to $3,000 from $1,550 on the large scale?
Yes, it
Under
does.
improvement plans, we're not doing any more than the county does.
Correct.
And $800 for the driveway permits, that's the same
Correct.
they charge, good. I just didn't want to be excessive or
There
charge more.
there are just a few things that might have been a little bit higher than the county, like we are actually charging for an exemption from the commercial site plan review. We charge for half an hour of our time, because that's something that for some reason the county doesn't charge for.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, we did it based, anything that the county didn't already have a fee for, we calculated based on our time that we spend on these things.
And this fee money goes to the town, or does it go to your company?
To the town.
Yeah, she's contracted.
I know she's contracted.
So she'd build a town
Trust me.
for it.
I know. Yeah, she's gonna turn around and build the town for it. How much of that net is gonna come to us?
The whole thing
No, the whole things come to
She bills
us.
us for what she does, so it's
Yeah.
a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not a separate issue. There's still a net here.
No, not at all. Is Dana's budget, as we're paying her, is doing this already, is we just have never gone and billed the people. So the people will bill, and it will come back to Rachel. It won't go to Dana, it will go to Rachel.
Dana's not gonna bill the town $3,000 for these. The town bills this, and then Dana bills us for the time. Is that correct? For the time you have in it?
Correct, so just to make a slight distinction, so I charge a flat rate to the town. In the past 12 months that we've been under this agreement, I have not charged the town any additional monies for my services, although there's provisions in my contract that if I'm going above and beyond, I can. I do go above and beyond. Right now, I'm working on fiber permits that are not traditionally handled by planning staff, but I'm more than happy to pitch in where I can. Areas where I would charge more would be things where I have to bring in other subcontractors for, or I'm working far beyond 50 hours a week.
Sure.
I do have a partner that I work with who's a subcontractor, and he's also been agreed to as part of my contract with the town. He handles things that are, again, out of my traditional purview, but would usually be handled by like a engineer, because the code calls for certain things to be done by someone with engineering experience. So that entity, to this date, has not charged more than $2,000 per month to the town. They charge a rate of $125 an hour, and it is for items like you're talking about on page 5 under improvement plans. Well, even then, so like zoning would go to me, small scale, but we're talking about driveways. Like I could not do a driveway inspection or tell someone what the grade would be. So he works on things like that.
Okay.
So just to be clear on how my finances are transacted.
But to the question, you had expected the fees we're going to charge would more than cover the costs we might incur from Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, there's some things that Mr. Kennedy does that still falls outside of these fees. But yes, these should cover, if there's a driveway permit, it will cover the cost of his inspections, review of the permit, issuance of the permit, and things like that.
Can you, for my ignorance, explain to me the difference between large scale and small scale comprehensive plans?
Yes, so Florida statute delineates, it's actually a little bit more of a gray area, but for the sake of this conversation, it's anything under 50 acres is a small scale, above 50 acres, and with good reason, is a large scale. And they have different standard of review at the state.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
I'm good with all
any
the
other
fee
questions for
schedule.
Dana? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to keep skipping around because Brandon's here. So Brandon Roberts is popped in from the sewer plant. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just had one more question, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. We had under the sign permits, a traditional district sign was $50. Is that per sign? And
No,
then
it's
the
per
permit.
permit.
per permit, and the permit would give you how many signs?
As many signs as needed for the project.
Okay. And public event sign permits, $15, same thing, however many signs you want?
Yes, that's handled by the police chief. That's something I suggested. I'm not sure if he has other thoughts on that, but it usually only takes 15 minutes to review that permit. So
Okay.
that's why I said $15. It's a nominal fee.
Okay, all right, thank you, sorry.
That's okay. So just Brandon's going to go through the utility budget. The LUPREC did approve it on Tuesday. He's then heading back over to the plant, probably more interested in what's going on with the plant right now, but, you know, we're trying to get that live. So I told him we'd move him up and he could give his little pitch. And then if there's any questions you have for him, if not, he'll head back over there and work some long hours tonight. So we're going to go to the utilities, which is page 13.
13. I got it.
Actually, they did such a good job, the new LUPREC committee, nobody asked a question, so
Super.
I expect the same here.
I heard it was a 3.5-hour-long meeting.
Look at him, he's in the question chair.
I don't have any questions.
That's because Bert was on there now.
Yeah, I know.
It would have gone way faster.
That's right.
That's what my little birdie told me, but
Yeah, me too, I heard the same bird.
I appreciate the time. Real quick, if I may, I want to just take, for myself, just to take a brief second, just to say thank you to the council and to everybody. June and July on my schedule is very busy with the stuff that I do outside of work, pastoring and missionary and stuff like that. And the town's been very patient and lenient as I travel back and forth, and I've worked a lot in hotels and you name it to see this thing through. And I wanted to let y'all know I appreciate y'all being patient with me, and I wish I could say June and July next year will be lighter, but that's unfortunately the part of the other side of the business for me. But I do just want to say thank you for being patient, and I don't take it for granted. But getting back onto this, I sat down and went over the budget, and there was just a few things that really caught my eye. Our distribution, repair, and maintenance, we were over 250%, 251%. And so it had $15,000 in it, and we've had a lot of repairs. And so I moved that up to $35,000. Vehicle repairs, unfortunately, we bought 2 vehicles. Both of those vehicles, they were used, went into the shop for repairs. And so that went up over budget just a little bit. So just about every line item that I looked at our previous budget, and then I said, you know what, if it was over, that's when I started making the adjustments. But a few of our vehicles decided to be bumper cars, so we had to get them repaired and fixed. And so I hope that it's not going to have that problem this year. So I moved it up to $15,000. If you scroll down to 644, new equipment. We put in for a new front-end loader. It's $100,000. It's something Alan and I, through the departments, will split the cost. It's something we need as a town with an extended boom to make, if we have a water line or sewer line that's deep, we need to be able to get down to it. And with an extension boom on the rubber tire, we're able to clear roads, this, that, and the other. Makes it a whole lot easier. And then also, I got another vehicle for this coming up year. It's $25,000. And hopefully I can find something that we can get around and it'll be used. Skipping over. And if y'all want to mention anything, well, that's the water side. So let me jump into, hold on. I might have lied to you. All right, here we go. And so for the repair and maintenance, we were over 361, and so I put in $25,000 for that. So let me get over to 464. The gravity lift station pumps. We have a lot of 2-horse pumps that we use in our system as of today, and we constantly pull them out and try to derag them, fix them and all, but it's just time that I like to keep 10 on hand, and we do that. We keep at least 10 on hand, and in the past week, we've replaced 2. I've got 2 on order waiting for a PO, so that's why you see the price on them. I'm sorry, I'm looking at something different. No, that's correct, I'm sorry. And then also, if you look at 520, it says operating supplies. With our new wastewater facility, even though it didn't go over too much in budget, I moved it up to $20,000 because since we've had the plant online, we've already went through one PLC card before the plant was even turned over to us, which controls our data system. And without that communication, we're dead in the water. So having those cards on hand just to plug and play, that's why that's in there. Just a couple more. Sludge hauling, since we shut down the south plant, that should lower, but it's still at 40,000. So hopefully that'll lower. And then also chemicals, that may lower because the south plant is not online anymore. So that might be a little cost savings to us, but it's still in there. And then 644, new equipment. And this is for the wastewater treatment facility. We need another lawnmower, and then a tractor to till the ponds. The one we have, it's about to give up the ghost, and it's in and out of the shop all the time. And so with that, I think that's it. Is there any other, y'all have any questions for me? Well, that was easy.
I got an okay on here, I'm good.
We got all okay? Back to the plant?
I'm sorry.
Back to the
Yeah,
plant?
back to the plant. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brandon, so much. Okay, now, Will. I'm going to go back to the fees.
Back to fees.
Appreciate everybody's patience there. Okay, we'll go to page 3. We'll just kind of clip through the fees now. So business tax receipt is $35. I thought there was like a law that you can increase it 5%, which would be $1.75. But Rachel basically corrected me that we won't even go into it. It's like a 1971 law, something we should have done, and bringing it forward. And it's like, bottom line, the proposed fees is a carryover, $35. We'll leave it like that. We are looking at the overall business tax receipt process and how that's being done.
So we're not going to move that?
We're not going to move it. Business tax will say $35. And then I had tied peddler's permit peddler's permit today is $25. What we would recommend is move it to $35. So keep business tax receipt and peddler's permit would be the same. The municipal lien research request is $25 for a standard. That needs to go to $75. It's very competitive. A lot of people ask us to do probably a lot more that the realtors could be doing. And then the second is a special search for municipal lien would be 55 going to 100. And I think, Rachel, we said that's competitive with what the other cities are doing. So this would be business tax receipt at 35, municipal lien at 75, municipal, a special one at 100, peddler's permit at 35, and then flea market, which we want to change to markets, right? That would be, call it the farmer's market, things like that. So markets would go from $10 to $15.
That's for the market itself, not for each individual
No, that's for
vendor.
each individual.
Oh, for
That,
each
yeah,
individual
they need to, basically, the same with peddlers. If they come and they set up a tent, whether it's a Christmas market that somebody has or the Journal Market, the Journal Plaza for the farmer's market. A lot of this hasn't been done, and so what we'll work on, because there's going to be, emotions. Anytime you do this, there's going to be emotions, but every one of those vendors set up in the farmer's market should be paying a market
A vendor.
fee.
So at Journal Plaza, they charge their vendors a fee, and then they get a permit from us for 10 or 15 bucks that they have to have in order to do business on the private property.
So, yes, and we'll work
Okay,
on the
good with that.
process, because in some cases, we could do the organizer of that event could be individually charging. So the same thing with the Caladium Festival, all of those at the because we have what do you want to say? In our code, it does say for larger events and festivals that the organizer of that then can collect the fee and then would give that to us.
So is it per, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
maybe, is it per occurrence?
And actually, it's, if that vendor, like at the Journal Plaza, is there all year, it's the one time. It's not
So
per,
if I'm selling Royce's pastries and I sign up with the Journal Plaza, do I pay 10 or 15 bucks once for the whole season I'm doing it?
Yes.
Or for every Saturday, once for every
Yes.
Saturday?
once a year.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
say once a year.
Okay.
And then, and ideally, and again, we'll work on the process, but we would give them something and they can then hang it to show they've paid their fee.
Okay.
But for like the Caladium Festival, there's, let's say, 125 vendors, then the chamber should be charging each vendor, and then the chamber should, 125 times 15 back to the town.
That's how the process should work.
Should work, yes.
Unless they've paid somewhere else already.
Unless-
and already paid
right,
the town.
right,
That would carry over
exactly.
Regardless of the event.
Yes, so if somebody comes from the farmer's market and they've already paid theirs and they come over. So
So they
like I
might get a
said,
year's worth of being a
yeah.
vendor in our
So this is
Okay.
getting the fees straight, and then we're working on the process.
Okay.
Because in some cases, there's going to be emotions because it's something they haven't done before. But more fees that should be coming to the town. Okay?
And then enforcement and fines, what happens if they don't do it?
That'll be part of the process,
Do we
right?
just like burn their tent down, or what do we do?
Now.
Okay, and then under police services is if it's and we call it a foot race, but this is typically it's going to say the same $200. And then if there's some event, and these are all on kind of the registration form when they come in. So these would be just a ticket, and these would be the costs that they would pay.
Chief, what does the sheriff's office charge for special events, for overtime?
Currently, they're charging 65 an hour. if I'm
65?
not mistaken.
Did you s-
65. We're at 55.
It's typically on wages and benefits, so ours is a little lower wages. I mean, we can up it. That this is to you all. What do we want to do? We just kept it at covering our costs for it, not making a profit.
Okay.
Are these two different things? Does a 5K, they pay $200 and it covers the whole 5K, 3 or 4
They would still have to
officers,
pay for the
whatever?
officers. The $200 is paying for the permitting and the work that has to go into filling out all the permitting and everything for it.
Okay.
Closing roads.
Then, so it's $200 to get in the game,
Yes,
and then $55
per hour, per officer.
And is that 55 per hour or per event?
Per hour,
Okay.
per officer.
So if we have 4 officers that work 4 hours, then that's 220 times 4 then?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
Okay. Okay. Next pages is zoning and planning. We can skip through those real quick. And then we'll come up to cemetery. Interesting to note is the cemetery fees have not been changed in over 15 years. So Al and I sat down and said, okay, we need to bring, our costs have increased in that. So this is pretty much straightforward is what the current fees are and some modest increase of the proposed fees. We tried not to go over 10%, just kind of move it up.
Yeah, I have no problem with that at all. I know we had a problem earlier, a while back, with not charging enough for vases and other issues. This will cover that enough?
Yeah, that's down here. These vases went up quite significantly from 300 to 400 and 150 to 250.
We just need to cover ourselves, and
And that's what this is doing, just covering ourselves.
Can you help me understand what is perpetual care?
It's a one-time fee that everyone pays for maintenance of the grounds and irrigation upkeep and basically trimming of the bushes and trees that the town owns.
So you pay it once, it's not per year, per plot, it's one time?
Correct.
Right, when you buy the lot, you put it in, it goes into a trust fund.
Thank you.
So the way it works now, Alan, it used to be you bought a plot. We don't sell the plot anymore, give anyone a deed. You just have a burial right for a certain, you get to be buried under this location. The land still belongs to the town of Lake Placid. It's not like it used to be where Ray Royce bought that set of dirt and it was mine, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do we still have a lot of the cemetery where people own their plots?
I would probably venture to say everything from the gate to the mausoleum in the
Okay.
old section.
Those are individual, and what we're doing, what we've switched over to is burial rights.
Correct.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay, good here?
Yep.
Okay, next one, I don't think you want to spend a lot of time because it's cents and pennies, but this is public records, so this is where, and we're going to be coming forward with a whole ordinance on the public records, right, Eva?
It'll be a resolution.
There'll be a resolution on that, but these are the fees that we're recommending that we charge. Now, we haven't really been charging fees. It's been kind of a courtesy for the town, but yet when we have a very large, which we've had a couple, then these are the fees that we would charge.
So, just so I'm reading this correctly, this says the first 5 pages of a record request annually. So you only get 5 pages free in a year? It says each one-sided page, black and white, for up to 18.5 by 14 after the first 5 pages of a record request annually. So after the first 5 pages that you get January 2nd, you are paying for all of your pages from then on.
So I pulled this from another municipality, so let me double check that one. I missed
that
that
what we meant to
annually
say?
thing.
She just said she pulled it from somebody else, so she's going to go with this.
I went and researched various
that's the-
municipalities, so.
Maybe that's the courtesy,
could've been
that you
my
get 5
typo.
as a courtesy. You want more?
So
Give me
that
a
you get
check.
the courtesy one time in your life, or that year.
Lifetime.
What I can say is very seldom anymore am I printing paper for anyone.
Yeah.
So most of our stuff is going to be moving to Laserfish anyway, and a lot of the stuff I have scanned already. So paper is going to be out, but I'll review that and make sure before it comes within that resolution that we're working on for public records policy.
So if we just said, one-side page, just take the word annually out of there, I think it would make sense.
I'm going to take that out. I think that's a typo myself. but-
So that comes out of the first 4, 5, 6,
Oh, yeah, it's all the way
7
down.
things, 8, all those.
Okay. Next one is kind of a change we've evolved to. So for Councilmember Royce and Sapp is the building, along with the kitchen, used to be rented out. Weddings, funerals, Christmas parties, everything. And it kind of got a little out of control with decorations, with, let's just say, damage to the facility and that. And so last year at the council, when this came up and was brought forward, we made the decision, no more events. And so that's worked out well. And what I'm evolving it here is to meetings only during the week, 8 to 5. So the top two are for the community center and renting this chamber. And then I just put, the county, has their, the ag center has different costs, but I just added 3 comparable ones of the Loretta Community Center, H.L. Bishop Park across the way, and Venus. And so the bottom half of this is exactly what the county's charging to use their facilities. Recognizing if it's a government entity, it's free of charge. No charge for government entities. And this excludes the kitchen. I mean, we've got a whole commercial kitchen with a 6-burner gas stove that's going to be a whole nother discussion, because there's call it just safety issues. We have to pay to get that inspected every year. It's a huge commercial kitchen that we don't even use. We're not opposed to people bringing in box lunches or bringing in a potluck or something like that, but we are opposed to this building being used, and I'm opposed after hours. It's not like it's a separate building we can rent out. It's our business office with all of our business records. And when you have people coming in over the weekend and nobody here, we can remotely unlock the door, but then they keep the doors open. They've been turning the air conditioning down to 65, even though it's locked. They have ruined the carpet. There's different things, and nobody's here. I mean, I was working one weekend, Rachel and I, and there was a funeral, and they were well over capacity. They brought in food trucks, and we're like, what is going on? So I'm uncomfortable having people, non-government employees, but people outside of working hours have access to this building. And so what this recommendation is to move forward and to rent the community center room and this chambers 8 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, no weekends. $150 would be the deposit. $100 for the meet, and $150 is what we use for the deposit today, so that's not changing, even though it's higher than what the county's doing. And then we would charge $100 regardless of if it's a private, educational, nonprofit. It would be $100, the same as what the county does. If it's a government entity, it's free of charge, like we do now. And then if that meeting did run over, we'd have somebody here, but same as the county, we charge $25 an hour, and then we would charge a cleaning fee if necessary, which we've had to do. I mean, there was a couple deposits we had to keep. It wasn't enough for the damages that was being done. So this would be the community center and the chamber council only for meetings, no kitchen appliances or equipment rental. And like I said, we're open to food. People want to bring in donuts and coffee and things like, or even a potluck, which some of the organizations have been doing. So that's what the proposal is here for comments, discussion, concerns.
I have a couple examples, just want to get there.
Please.
So I assume homeowners association, they pay $100 in
During
the Lake June Point or the Water's Edge Homeowners Association, once they pay $100, have to do it Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Okay. I've attached to a couple of things. Leadership Highlands, they want to come eat lunch here. That's still a meeting. They can bring in the lunches. Mm-hmm. Farm Bureau can even cook a steak on a grill outside. They just can't use our stuff, right? Still works.
Well, we didn't go that far, but that's what you want.
That would be the scenario that y'all would think would work, right?
I didn't know the Farm Bureau cooks a steak outside, but do they do this Monday through Friday?
I think that'd be fine. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that.
Okay.
You're not using the kitchen.
Yeah.
You're still bringing food in from the outside. You don't have 10 food trucks out there.
The Citrus Commission, CRDF, they've had a bunch of meetings here. They probably bring in lunch. Again, they're a public entity. They can still pay the $100, have a meeting here, bring in lunch from outside, right?
And if they're government, I think Are they governmental? If they're governmental, there's no charge. If they're
They're not
government
governmental.
entities.
Is that
They're
the
an
ag group
association.
that they go from, the ones that go from town to town and then they come here and they eat their lunch here and then they
No,
move?
that's Highland, that's
That's
leadership
leadership.
That's
Highlands.
leadership, okay.
I mean, the $100, I don't care
Yeah.
about the $100. That's, I
I
just
wasn't
want
sure whether it
I
was
want to make
government or
sure that how strict we're having on meetings, because some of these things, it isn't strictly a meeting, it's a little bit of, they've come in, they use the restrooms, they eat a meal. In the case of Leadership Highlands, the Cattlemen's Association or Farm Bureau come and cook steaks for 25, 30 people. That still all works.
Is that a meeting? I mean, if they call it a meeting, if they, then yes.
Okay.
And it's not going to include decorations on the walls and things like that. I mean, we have some that like to come in and they decorate it all because we still are conducting business. We've got people coming in the front, they're conducting their business at the windows and that. And so, we're moving towards business meeting. If it's a lunch business meeting, that's
Okay, but
fine.
we're just getting out of the
Yes.
wedding, funeral,
Showers. Yeah,
Baby shower.
we're getting away from competing with the Barn at Pasofino and some of the others, that's what they do. They rent the halls strictly for that. We're trying to recognize it's a business office that we're still working and people are coming in and we don't have somebody coming in on the weekend. So all of those I feel are absolutely fine.
I'm good with all that.
I'd hate to all of a sudden start bringing food truck, because we've had some bring food trucks in, and they've got the whole catering spread out there. So it's more or less like I call it a working meeting, a business lunch meeting, coffee and donuts. They bring in the box lunches, or the potlucks are fine too. We've had those.
Okay, I'm good with all that.
Okay.
Final thing is, I would just hope that, I know you mentioned you're concerned about the commercial kitchen we have. I hope before we do away with any of that, that's another conversation.
Oh,
another day.
right. That's not a budget item. I'm just saying for this is
Okay.
no kitchen appliances or equipment rental. The counters are fine.
Right,
But
okay.
no,
Good deal.
none of that. That would always be a separate discussion if we ever want to go there.
Okay.
And with your recent experience with the funeral with all the food trucks, do you think it's important that you put in there no food trucks?
Do you all agree with
Well,
that?
that's not really a budget issue right now, it's a
Yeah.
different issue. One thing I'd like to ask is, are we setting up chairs and tables for these people when they have events? Or do they
No,
have to do that
they
themselves?
have to do it
Do it
themselves.
themselves.
They have to set it up and return it to its original.
You have to set it up
setting.
and take it down.
Right, so the chairs and tables are always set up like that. If they need to rearrange it, then, and we did have that for the Fish and Wildlife. They just had one last week. They ended up rolling all the tables, and they set up like theater chairs so they could look at the screen. But when they left that night, everything went back to exactly how they found it. And that's what we have in our documentation that they have to sign. And we even have a vacuum cleaner for them to use too. So we
Okay.
make that good? Okay? Thank you for that. Okay, the next, and this one's kind of work in process. I know Chief's talked to the ballpark people, and I put in a call to them, at least for the ballpark fees. But when you take a look at how we in the past have been renting out our parks, you can see the difference. And again, I compared a lot of this to what Highlands County did. It's still modest, but I think it's time that we start increasing our fees on using these parks. I mean, if you think of it, even when you get down to the park user fee, right? Lake June Park, where is that?
Go under sporting events.
Page 10, yeah.
Yeah, page 10.
Well, yeah, even like Devane Park, right? $25 for the whole park.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
that's not,
versus-
that's not
so-
even reasonable.
Unless there's something in here on these increases, I am moving the ballpark people from $20 to $25. I want to have that discussion with them. But it's time to increase some of these fees. I think when we get into this recreational lighting, I don't even know if we're charging on some of this.
Well, and lighting in particular, is that on all the fields there, or just one particular field? So if you're using 5 fields, is it 5 times the $35 an hour, or is it just for the whole area on the ball fields?
I can't answer that, and I don't know if we can. I think in a lot of these cases, this is a printed number, and again, the process hasn't been doing the collections that it
Yeah,
should.
and who's charging, who's flipping the lights on and off, who even knows what's
There's
going on out
timers,
there?
there's timers, and that they have,
Someone's responsible for it?
the ball team has keys to be able to turn on the, and right now, I think, Chief, unless you want to add something, is we're actually changing all the keys for the ballpark and the people that have them, because they've actually passed them on to other people, and we don't even know who has the keys, so
That
we're,
should probably be done every year,
yeah.
or change the locks regularly and have them come back through.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, if you will, things we're finding that maybe haven't been done, that now we've got them on the table, we're having the discussion, and we need to just get, and you'll hear me say it over and over, the process is in place.
So the Lake June Park user fee, that is, if my child's playing in the soccer league or the baseball league, or the men's soccer league, that's each participant pays, and that's like an annual fee to be able to use that facility. And the leagues can collect that and remit it to the town. Is that what that means?
I think that's what they've done.
That's what it's supposed to mean.
Yes, okay.
Yes, $20 per kid, they're supposed to collect it. I'm recommending moving it to $25 a kid. And that's why I wanted to meet with them, not just on this, but just our overall expenses in the park, the lighting and everything, and to show them, these are our costs, right? We've got to work together.
On the lighting part, I'm not so sure that you can do the lighting to just a particular field. I think they're in areas.
No, we can.
You can?
We can, right? They
Okay.
have them, each
Okay.
one.
Okay, cool.
Mayor?
But typically, they'll have like 4 fields going at once,
Right,
too.
right.
Something else to consider on the fee for child on these parks is maybe not charging Lake Placid residents. If they actually live in town, they're already paying taxes and doing more to support
We
the
can
town.
look at that.
Something to consider. We don't have to do it. It'd be one more thing to have to deal with, but.
No, I like that. I mean, and I had a conversation even with the school on swimming, right? Because they open the pool for during the summer, and they charge these rates. And I said, hey, I engaged in that conversation, didn't get over the finish line, but something possibly for next year. And I said, would you guys think about if the town contributed $2,000, $2,500, and then you could allow every town kid resident, free swimming? And they said, we could talk about that. I said, we'd give them an armband, we'd give them something, but, we really want to encourage them, and to take swimming lessons too. So those were the conversations I was engaging with. What can we do from some of our residents' children in a way to reduce costs or fees? So that fits right in there. I think that's a great idea.
Well, Greg, we talked about that many years ago, and I hope you all explore it. My recollection was that since a lot of the facilities were built with grant money, and because Highlands County gives us $125,000 of recreation money, that we were not able to differentiate. And so, Mike can look into that. It
No.
seems to me that's where we got to before,
Well-
since there was other public resources helping pay for
Yeah.
it, that we couldn't make that differentiation.
And I've been looking into that too, and we'll work together, because then it was like, okay, if we use the FERDAP grant, which we did years ago to buy some land for can we or can't we? So there's some things we can, and others we can't, but that's where, I love this idea of how can we return some of the taxpayer dollars targeted at, especially the children. Do you?
No, and it may be more, Madam Mayor and Greg, it may be more of, if we wanted to budget some money and the child paid the $25 fee, but they were residents of the Lake Placid, that there was some return, or in other words, it might be easier for us to refund them a certain portion as a town resident instead of charging them less if we wanted to go that
Have
way.
them pay it and come back and get a credit maybe. Or
Yeah,
something like
exactly,
that,
yeah.
Or just keep it to have the league figure it out, or maybe have a flat fee for the league, and then not charge each of we wouldn't charge each of the individual children, but let the league figure out how to make that work.
I just remember Highlands County, since they're ponying in $125,000 and tax money
Yeah,
poo-pooed that idea.
yeah, and I think they're right. They're right.
125,000 isn't even close to what we need.
Oh, I understand.
And I had that discussion at the budget workshops they had here, council,
I was there, I remember.
So we have 2,400 residents for Lake Placid. I called the post office and said, Mike, how many deliveries to 33852 do you have? He said, during snowbird season, 20,000. So times that by 2, average household. And that's what I told Highlands County. I don't know how you came up with the 125 for each of the 3 cities, 50,000 for Sun and Lake, 50,000 for Spring and Lake. But the pressure on my parks is over 40,000. This is the 33852 that are using all of our facilities. So maybe there might be a way you can go back and look at how you've allocated it. And of course, I got nowhere. And then at the end, I thought, Lake Placid never asked for anything. And my comment was, this is the 2nd year in a row I've asked for that.
Well,
But
it
I mean,
started-
that's the pressure. And I mean, as we combine parks together now, and you'll start seeing the true operation costs of parks. And if we net the 125, I mean, we are spending over $250,000 on just our parks. So however we can get some more support, because it's more than the 2,400 residents that are using them.
Even Central Florida Regional Planning said 35,000 in the area. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, even these numbers that we're allocating, you're hearing to parks, right, are for beyond just the, so we're taking the taxpayers' money to better the park so that the greater Lake Placid can use our parks. And that's fine. We are going to need their help to kind of help us with the county to say, how can we send some more money? And that's going to be through the RPAC grant.
Mayor,
Good luck.
the
Go after
$25
them.
fee,
I don't mean that sarcastically. Go after them.
Rachel?
Good luck.
the $25 fee that you're referring to for each kid that's playing is per league. So if you want to be in baseball and football, you got to pay the $25 for each league.
Right.
Each league.
And
Okay,
each
yeah.
season.
And
So
each
if
season,
you're
that is
in the
correct.
fall ball versus the spring ball.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, anything standing out here? Then the next page, 11, is what Alan's been charging, and he feels it's fine to keep it the same, but for his garbage, when there's events, the garbage, the fees that they charge, so. And a lot of these are, when somebody comes in and they fill out the application, these are on the application, what are you going to need so that we know how much to charge them?
So how are these levels established, level 1 through 4? Is it based on probable amount of people?
By the amount of garbage expected to be generated.
Okay,
We should probably have a minimum, $25 ain't even worth going by there for it. You can't even get in your vehicle and start it up and drive to the place for $25. There should, I would think, be a minimum of at least $100 just for going out there, even if it's just one bag. Just as an example,
I don't know that this is a special trip, right?
Right, we would still empty the town cans on a regular basis
You'd be there
anyway.
anyway.
Yeah,
That's different then.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, because the first one is, okay, you're going to rent that little pavilion, you're going to have a couple bags of garbage, you're going to put them there, we're going to pick them up, and we're going to charge you for them, because now it's extra garbage, extra tipping fees, everything. So that's what this is intended to be.
So if I want to rent the pavilion in Stewart Park, I can come, pay a fee, pay a garbage fee, have the Royce barbecue there, and if anyone else shows up, I can tell them to take a hike and that the pavilion is mine for the day, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah.
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Okay.
What I've seen in other towns is, and I don't think we've got there, is once they make that reservation, then there's something that says Royce's barbecue, this time,
Yeah.
versus you
Private
having to
party.
call code enforcement to kick them out.
Right, okay. Good deal.
cool.
Do you have a question?
There was, I don't know if we've gotten to it yet or have passed over it. I was looking over it earlier. I think we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
The cost of the parks and using a pavilion in the park or the whole park.
It's here.
A couple of them were the same price for part of the park or the whole park. That should probably be adjusted
It's on page
more for the
10.
whole park. Yeah, I got ahead of us on that. I
Page 10.
thought maybe we'd gotten past
No,
it.
no,
Page
no, we
10.
did. We skipped, we all approved it. But let's go back to it. Page 10, right? Are you on 10?
I thought maybe we hadn't gotten to that yet, but yeah, on page 10 for the Stewart Park, the cost of the whole park.
Does that include the pavilion if you get the whole park?
Yep. Get the whole park.
Seems like looking back, for the whole park or just part of the park, it costs the same. If you're gonna just rent one of the pavilions, look back here, the entire park for Stewart Park was $150. That's the deposit, I'm sorry. Proposed fee's $100 for the whole park. Or, I see, yeah, 50 here on Stewart Park just for the pavilion.
Yeah,
So I was gonna deposit, not the whole pavilion, the whole
Right.
park, sorry.
yeah, I made that mistake too. I had to cross out, I know.
So there is a difference. It's a small difference, but yes, that's good.
Yeah.
We're good?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's it for fees. I think we rolled through fees pretty good, right? So appreciate all of the input there. Okay, this was just because we're going to do water, so that was a reminder on this one. We've already passed the water and the wastewater, so we can just kind of go right. I think.
The CIS.
Yep. Now, the CIS is, we have a time for this. I mean, so we can do a
Like
few.
on page 23, 24, 25.
So the CIS, I like to call it the 5 and the 10 year, right? We actually have time. What we wanted to do, so in September, we're going to do the readings for the actual budget. We really can then push the CIS into October, right? It doesn't have to be done at the same time. We just don't want to lose track of, like we did in the past, it scooched 8 months behind. So because the CIS, right, year one of the CIS is going to be our budget. What we just agreed, we're going to drop it into year one, and then we're going to determine, okay, what are the next 4 years? What do you want to spend? And then the bigger is the 10-year. So, I mean, if they've got any ideas on this now, we can do that, or we can also pause this to come back after we've got the budget. Maybe it's that second reading, right? We can do the CIS in September if we want to tag it to one of those meetings.
If you wanted to tag it
Yeah.
to one of those meetings, or wait till you're adopted and just slate October to finalize
Yeah.
your CIP and your CFS.
Yeah.
Or
So I just have-
CIS and CFS.
Sure.
Just a
No, no,
couple
and-
questions. So if we go to page 26, and Nell referred to this earlier. My questions were, splash pad, dog park, we got 200 grand budgeted for the next couple of years. I don't think that's a realistic number. Then we have nature trail, botanical garden, way out, 20 years out, $2 million. Where did we come up with we were going to seek a FERDAP grant for $2 million?
That was just, I was told to dream big. So I imagined the vacant lot behind Bert Harris's basically being like Stewart Park, but 5 to 6 times larger, where it would be trails walking under a canopy
Okay,
with additional landscaping, not a full indoor facility of any sort.
and I'm gonna tell you what, I'm all about green space. I think we should, if we're not gonna get rid of that parcel, we ought to have a plan over the next 5, 6 years to develop it into a park. I just didn't know what a nature trail botanical garden was for $2 million. Then, I'll come back to the pickleball in a second. Since I perceive we're gonna give the pickleball money, it's not gonna happen. There's $200,000, and I'll just share with my fellow council members, that's why I will not vote for 3.65. If nothing else, when we save that $200,000, I think that the clock has effectively been run out on that thing. So when we save that $200,000, that should allow us to reduce the millage by at least 1/10 of a mil. Thanks.
But I'm not ready to say that pickleball isn't going to happen, because we had 15 people show up to the pre-bid meeting. So I'm ready to move that over into the next year. But right now, it's in the 25, it should be in 26. That just needs to be moved over because I'm not ready to bail.
I'm not ready to bail either, Nell, but
But we're
when
not
when
saving
it doesn't
200.
happen, when we know that it's not going to happen,
But we don't know that yet.
I know, but, and as you know, I'm supportive of it, but I just think the clock's been run out.
No.
The only comment I would make is that's FERDAP money, I'm sorry, that's, we pull that from infrastructure, is that 200,000 infrastructure? So that way, budget items out of general fund couldn't be used for that. So absolutely, 200,000 is getting freed up, but it has to be freed up for future infrastructure.
But the 200, in here, the $200,000 town stuff was listed under general fund.
Was it? Oh, it
Yes.
is general
200
fund.
was-
Okay,
200
then
was out of general
yeah,
fund.
okay, that's,
And I'm, Nell, don't get me wrong, I hope we figure it out, but if it doesn't happen, I'll just, I don't know if we're gonna go in this, but I didn't want to slow the whole boat down 2 weeks ago, but just, I'm not gonna vote for 3.65. So y'all can figure out what we need to do in regards to fund balance, but I mean, at the very least, I'm gonna want to see 5/10 or, a tenth come out of it, and I want to see a small tax reduction, so,
Yeah, I'm not gonna vote for 3.65 either. That was just to get us through the meeting, and,
okay.
yeah, don't stress about that.
we can jump ahead to the
I don't wanna
chart.
handicap us or
Well, I know,
kneecap
it's
before we
just,
start the meeting.
I just didn't want anyone out there to, if it's not made up of pickleball, then it needs to be made up of fund balance, I presume, so.
So we can jump ahead to that, we have a chart on that, and then we can always come back to this, if that, we can come back to this.
Okay,
So
I
let's,
had no other
no,
questions
let-
about CIS.
so let's jump ahead. Eva? Well, first off, pull up, I think it's in the packet, we put together 365, 350, we put together some
Yep, it's
numbers.
in here.
Based on, last time, I think there was a leaning towards 350, so we said, okay, what will that be? And then I heard, well, I want to at least come down 0.5, so we put together a 3.6. And so you'll see the difference of 365 to 3.5 is like 53,000, 51,000. Okay, so the grouping up here is if we go from 365 to 350, we're talking a $51,000 reduction. If we go from 365 to 350, it's 34,000, or if you just drop it, the half a point, it's to the 18. So this just gives you some comparison on where do you want to land. Now, what I will put up is the next chart that wasn't in your packet. I said, well, let's put this together. So keep in mind, 56,000 if you're looking at 350. If you want to go to 355, 37,000. So what we pulled together, okay, remember this chart where we started carving down? We're spending 38,000 on events. So here's an area. So what we put is the budget workshop number 1, what we heard. And so, and you'll see anything here will give you the opportunity that puts that money back in to lower, because these are built into the budget already. So any reduction you want to do in these will free up money to get you the reduced tax that you might want.
You're basically saying we're already down, if we did what we said we were gonna do, we're down 17 grand.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
in round numbers.
And then that's where, and again, not that it means that much, but I had mentioned, well, the Caladian Festival and the Arts and Fair, to reduce that even a little more, because we're increasing our membership from 2,500 to 5,000. So we're already giving them money to go into the highest level membership. I feel that could warrant even bringing this contribution down to them more. But we're still going to be sitting here at 21,000, recognizing, some of these were no change. So I just throw this as, this is what we heard. You may want to tweak it up, you may want to tweak it down, because we'll run with this. But this gives you the opportunity of an area to further reduce if you want to get that back to the other chart. I mean, we may be flipping back and forth between these charts.
I mean, you're making the case that reducing the millage by at least a tenth is pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Whatever you reduce it, we'll get there. It's
Yeah.
just what are we going to, pull out?
that's what-
I mean, we're also, I think, pretty confident with, now that we're going to increase some of these these fees that we talked about, is it going to get us a lot? No, it's going to get us some. Staff is continuing to look at a lot of processes and projects. For instance, we're looking at CenturyLink, Verizon, Comcast, right? We've got cell phones, we've got Wi-Fi's, we've got telephones, and we're bundling all that together, and we're going to talk to Clear Fiber, right? These fiber optic companies. So we're looking at how we spread costs over many, how we get it back, and we can negotiate with them once we know the complete inventory of where do we have all the Wi-Fi's, how many phones do we have, how many cell phones, how many iPads, et cetera. And anybody who deals with Comcast knows you come in with a promotional price, and over time they just increase it, and if you don't call them to get that promotional price. So what I'm saying is, as we're continuing to look at our current costs and operations and processes, I'm very optimistic on continuing to look at where there could be savings. Now, wherever we find savings, we have more opportunity to do something else, but I mean, it's kind of hitting it from all ways, seeing how we can get more revenue without the taxpayers' burden, and at the same time, what the taxpayers have tasked us to do is look at our costs to see how we can minimize those.
I just think it'd be nice to be able to hopefully go to 3.5 and give a 5% reduction in the millage, you know.
I don't think we can go to 3.5, but I think we could go to, we can obviously go to 3.6. I don't think we can go to 3.5, or maybe 5.5, but I don't think we can go to 5.
I think the mayor just said we've already found $17,000.
Well,
yeah.
we found it from that other chart, and that other chart can even tweak it a little
So that
more.
just-
Yeah, but that's at 3.6 right there. So I get that. So that's why I'm saying, okay, so we could probably go to 3.55. But when you go from 5.5 to 5.0, that's quite a jump. That's another $17,000. Yeah, but it's another $17,000. So you've
Eva,
done it
scroll that
17
up so
times
we
three,
can see
really.
the bottom line there.
Where am I scrolling?
Just, isn't there right there?
Oh, I get it.
I think, Rachel, on this one, because of the event, the other chart, so we're already at the 3.6 with the reduction from the event fees.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not as optimistic as you are, Nell. I guess I'm presuming that we won't have to spend, that the $200,000 for pickleball will come out of the budget. And then when that comes out, we're now providing a different, lower level of service at the parks. Then I think we have to drop our millage accordingly, since we're providing a lower level of service. So that's why, if that doesn't look like it's going to go by the time we get to the final budget hearing in mid-September, then just, I don't know.
Well,
When do you
I'm
need a
open to that.
unanimous vote to get anything below 3.65?
First reading, yeah.
Yeah, first reading's September 14th.
No, I'm open to that, depending on how pickleball goes, but I'm not ready, I'm not open to it today.
Okay, I just wanted to give everyone fair warning that,
So you're leaning towards a 3.5?
yes.
Without pickleball.
Certainly
without
pickleball, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Only without pickleball.
And I would hope that we would go at least to 3.55. We've already found 17,000. I have faith that mayor and the staff are gonna find another $15,000, $20,000 of savings and other stuff. And if we have to use a few grand of fund balance, we use a few grand of fund balance. But we ought to be, as people's property values appreciated, we ought to be thinking about, I'm not talking about going to rollback, but we ought to be rolling back the millage rate, at least some percentage against what their property value increase is.
What were we last year, 3.65?
Yes.
Which was a hefty increase, 18% increase. We went from 3.1 to 3.65.
Yeah, I remember that was a big one.
It was a big one. I think we can work within that. I mean, let's talk about the timing. I mean, the pickleball bids are due next Tuesday. With the plan to bring can't believe we committed that, because we got to turn it around in 2 days to get it into the packet for the following Monday meeting. So we'll know who made that decision. I think the attorney goes, you got 5 days, and it's like, no, we have 1.5 days to get it into the packet. And I think we can make that work, right? Because we'll be able to know by the 17th meeting, right? Is it the 17th meeting? We'll have a decision, go or no go. And then I think what I'm hearing is if we don't do pickleball, then we can go with a 3.5, and we'll make up the gap that we have in the budget from general fund monies.
These two won't be here on the 17th. Keep that in mind.
Greg said he might be here in the
Oh, he might be. Yeah, he might be.
It'll be tight. I don't know if I'll be able to walk by then, but if I can, I'll make it.
Yeah. You'll be here the 10th, though.
So this is where we asked the attorney, what's a quorum?
So, out of curiosity, what latitude, especially if Mr. Sapp doesn't think he can make it, and I know I won't be able to make it, what latitude do we have to just changing that meeting date a few days or a following week, or,
I'd rather do that than operate without both of their inputs. I value their input. Even if we disagree, I value their input.
I don't know that we can operate with both of theirs.
So you could cancel the 17th and advertise a special, and to cover the whole, so not have them, if you're not going to have a quorum for the 17th,
Yeah, that'll
you'd go
give
ahead
more-
and cancel, and we can advertise.
That'll give you more leeway on pickleball, too, on those contracts.
Yes? But we'll have to advertise just the whole agenda, because it's going to then be considered a special. So whatever goes on the agenda would be advertised as a special meeting.
We'd have to have that agenda prepared.
Yes.
Will we carry the same agenda over?
You're going to carry the same agenda.
We already have
So
a
whatever the
very full
agenda is.
agenda for the
Now,
17th.
the only downside of this is that Dana has already advertised for second reading her 3 ordinances. Now, where does that come into play? Does that,
We just have to re-advertise those two.
so she'd have to re-advertise,
So
she may not have time for the 10 days prior to adoption.
Or can we keep that meeting,
Oh,
but
well,
we
yeah, she could. That would
downsize
be-
the agenda?
Yeah, if it's a quorum, it wouldn't matter for
Is
certain items.
is it a quorum?
Is what a quorum? Oh,
2 people, is 2 people in the mayor quorum?
the mayor does not count a quorum as far as I know in our town code.
Just split a tie, but is 2 a quorum, or do you have to have 3 to have a quorum?
You have to have a
We have
3
to have
to have the quorum.
Interesting with the supermajority as a quorum.
So, out of curiosity, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, if it's okay.
You're fine.
If you had the meeting on the 17th and you didn't have a quorum, then
Can't conduct business.
yeah, I know you can't conduct business, but then, can you then just say, well, we're going to move all these matters to a different date, and does that change your advertising requirement?
My recommendation would be it needs to be advertised.
Okay, and just do it
There's
up
been-
front and move
there's been
it
some-
if the mayor wants to.
Litigation in land use specifically, and the statute was amended to address that. That was something as important and significant as budget. If we know it's coming up now, let's try to take care of it.
Well, I apologize, but these were like plane tickets that were bought 6 months ago, so I can't change American Airlines' schedule.
No, you can't. No, that's fine. I just don't go anywhere. I'm flying. I don't feel
I don't
bad
like
at you
going to the
because you
Miami
do.
airport any more than anyone else, but that's the
So
only way I
Mayor,
can get to where I'm
just
going.
quickly, if we know tonight that we possibly won't have, we might have enough time to re-advertise for Dana's ordinances, depending on the date that we're going to pick for the special. Yes?
With-
10 days prior.
Yeah, with Dana's ordinances, could we have the meeting limited to that agenda, her ordinances? We'd have 2 here, well, it wouldn't be a
But we don't
quorum.
have a quorum. So you don't have a quorum.
But then you could re-advertise, if the quorum's not met, you meet the obligations of actually having a meeting. Even though you couldn't vote on it, you could carry it to the next one and advertise then, the same issue.
Would you then go all the way into September? I wouldn't want to go that far with some of those agenda.
I mean, Dana's text amendments, could they wait until September?
They could.
So maybe we just
Ask her.
extend those till September.
Are you going to text her now?
We would move all
She's
those
probably
agenda
listening.
items to September?
She's got those three text amendments that you did first reading on. They're coming up for second reading.
I don't see any significant emergency with any of those. I
No,
don't see
no.
why not. I'm there.
The thing that wouldn't want to wait till September is if in fact you had a valid bid for the pickleball.
We'd advertise for the special meeting for that specific.
We need to do that like on the 24th and get that moving and not go
Yes.
another 3 or 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That we have plenty of time to advertise. There's no
Okay.
time limit to advertise on the special. I was just thinking about the hearings that she had scheduled for second reading on how that was going to
So
handle.
what was it, just the comp plan text amendments?
No, they're code amendments, are the ones you voted on for first hearing.
There were setbacks for fences and.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not anything that's really
Yeah.
time sensitive.
No, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking at the timing on, we can postpone those then.
Okay.
Okay.
So that may work, but not just for pickleball, because we're kind of narrowing down that we may have a good candidate pool to interview for the town administrator. And what we did before, we'd recommend the same, is we would set up, I'm trying to make sure we at least have 3 candidates. And I think Rachel, Eva, and I are going to go through all the resumes, and I think we do. And so not to continue to prolong this and to get some stability in, the thinking is we'll set up the interview where each of us separately, we just have them one day. You come in, you interview one, you interview the other, I give you a scoring sheet, you score it, and then the next meeting, we would come on board and we would say, okay, we took the scoring, and the mayor's, this is what John Holbrook did. I'd recommend any of them. This is one I like. And then we made a motion and we selected that person. I would take advantage of, if we're going to do a special meeting, to do also that town administrator selection and pickleball and whatever else. So
On the 24th.
all on the 24th. It might,
Okay.
the 20, yeah,
Can we
all
get
in
the-
that work.
Can we get the interviews in by?
That's what I'm saying. We would, we're going to, Monday go through them all. We're going to contact the people, and we'll get your schedules. We'll see, and then push to get that. So it's not just a special meeting for pickleball, it's a special meeting for both, and if there's anything else pressing.
Get these guys scheduled first, because they're the ones that are going to be out of town in the process, so.
Out of town, and yeah. I mean, so that's what I'm saying, is that may work versus us waiting till September, another month. That way, we could get the selection in April and August, and we can get the onboarding done.
Yeah, good.
Just need to.
Smooth.
I talked to Ms. Riddell Dana. She's okay with, we just have to re-advertise the text amendments, ordinance amendments, actually. So it's not that significant, so you're free to set your date.
So is the 24th good for everybody? Or, I mean, you're just getting back. Any time in that week is good for me.
Can you make the 24th?
I'm going to have to go check I don't have my calendar with me.
Actually, we had a budget amendment third meeting scheduled for the 27th, which we're just going to cancel because we don't need, we're going to pull together whatever direction that we have.
I'm starting, even though I'm now the one that was advocating for the 24th, I'm starting to think that I have an obligation in Gainesville that day. But if you wanted to go out to the 27th, I know I'm darn sure available on the 27th.
We have that already set.
We have a
Not
workshop
as
set.
Yeah,
a workshop.
but we have it blocked on our calendars, the 27th at 5:30.
And so if everyone else can make the 27th, then maybe that gives you even a couple of more days to
better.
do your candidates and.
Better.
I'm concerned about pickleball. We're really on time schedule for pickleball. I don't want to.
I don't know that 3 days will make a difference. I just didn't want to go out 3 weeks. No, I'm just not
No,
positive I can commit right now to the 24th, and so,
I'm just putting the days together, because it was supposed to be the 17th.
right.
And now it's not 3 days, it's 10 days. It's a week and then 3 more days.
27th.
I can absolutely commit to being here on the 27th.
I'm okay with it. I'm just, my concern, again, is pickleball.
Okay, we'll do the 27th. You need to advertise that. Do you need topics?
Yeah, we'll come up with topics, because you're talking about the pickleball bids, and then
Town
I think we're gonna go to
administrator
the town
selection.
administrator. I would add, we were going to put the tax roll for the residential rates. We're gonna go on this meeting, because we have a tight schedule to get that to the county. That's for your residential rates, where we adopt the resolution to adopt your non-ad valorem. Typically, we do that in September, but there's a one-day turnaround from the time you would approve it on the first reading and us getting it to the
You're talking
county.
about garbage fees.
Yeah, garbage fees.
Okay.
So we were trying to get on this one. I'd like to add it to there, so we're not crunched for
Yeah,
time,
that ought to
something
be-
Oh, that's right, the
happens.
commercial, well,
So I would like to add that to it.
No, I think we're all on the same page. I promise Greg, I won't ask any questions.
Oh, no, you,
He said he was gonna keep it the same, he was happy with it, so.
I'm writing it down. You're gonna ask questions.
So, yeah, I'll advertise. We'll come up
Okay.
with the agenda. We'll treat it
Okay.
like a regular meeting if you want, and we have to lay it out, though.
Yeah, you will
in
lay
the
it out.
advertisement.
and when do you need to advertise that by?
Special meetings are a little bit different. There's
Okay.
not like 10 days before, but the sooner the better. I think if we know we're not going to have the meeting, I'll get it out. The sooner the better.
Okay, sounds good. I think that's all I had on this. I think we covered everything. Rachel, you good?
Quick question. So are we officially canceling the 17th? Because I want to do that as soon as I can. So I can go ahead and cancel
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
on-
it was
get that
going
on
to
next-
be, it was going to be canceled the day of with no
Okay.
quorum anyway.
So I'm gonna go ahead
so
and do that
I appreciate
part.
knowing ahead of time.
Definitely not here the 17th.
I am not here 17th.
No, he let us know that.
So I'm going to do that tomorrow and get that.
Your surgery is before that. 5 days before. No,
Yeah, you're not going to be sitting here.
you don't need to be that tough.
So are we're canceling, yes. We're not going to, no workers' comp here.
I don't work anyway, so it's good.
No, but you have a job here if you come in here and you hurt yourself. Okay, we're all good there? All good? I need to correct the 100-year anniversary date of the town. So I had announced June 6th, and Margaret Deere sends me from the Historical Museum a nice parchment paper signed by the governor. It's June 8th. And it's so funny because we had a plaque in the town hall that has each of the governors, each of the mayor's dates. And I took it in to get John's date and, mine added, and John's was scratched up another time, got that fixed up, but it said, Town of Lake Placid chartered May 27th, 1927. So we really have an identity crisis, which of course the Historical Museum is like, seriously, here's your paper, so.
Probably the time it took to get the donkey from Tallahassee. A couple days delay each trip.
So it is June 8th. Good. Anybody else have anything else?
Madam Mayor, if I could,
Oh,
I would like
please.
to read Councilwoman Eberhardt's comments that she asked to have read in for tonight.
Okay.
She says, I wanted to state that I am in agreement with all that was presented in the CRA and Town Council packets, fee schedule, and limiting the use of facilities also. I would be pushing for a 3.65 mill rate for reasons stated below. Uncertainty on future real estate taxes. For all but 2 years, 2008 to 2022, the town rate was less than rollback, even though cumulative inflation amounted to over 40%. The town has to dig itself out of that hole and do maintenance and improvements for neglect. That was her comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else?
Let me this year, Councilman Hayes and I both attended a meeting, was it yesterday? Yesterday in Wauchula, very well-attended meeting, very well put-together meeting about digital infrastructure, more specifically about data centers And so we'll ask either Sarah Beth Murphy or Jennifer Coda Salisbury to get all the information to everyone. I don't know whether or not the town will ever get an application for a data center, but this meeting, I thought, did a very good job of dispelling all the myths about all the concerns, and it talked about, for example, Fort Meade currently takes in $1.7 million in ad valorem tax. When their data center is complete, they're going to take in $20 million. So it is just an absolute game changer on the revenue side for small rural towns. Not making judgments, but it's just, this was just I thought everyone did an excellent job with it. There was a lot of questions from the audience that they went through. So if anyone can get a chance to either watch it on YouTube or at least get the report on it, I'd encourage you to do so.
And then one more thing I wanted to share while we're here is, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I set up a meeting with Chuck Sverk of the Tower, and Chief attended, and Justin Peck, our code enforcement officer, and I wanted to meet him at the Tower to talk about the buildings, right? The condition of the buildings. We ended up with the plan would be Justin's going to write up what are all the code violations, right, that those buildings currently have, because there's boards hanging down, wires hanging down, and then we would get them to him, and then he would note what he's going to fix and what he can't fix. One example was, if the window, because eventually those buildings, he had said, more likely would be torn down for somebody to buy the property, because the property is for sale. One of the example, he said, that if there's a busted window, he covers it with plywood, but our code says, you have to replace it with a window. I told him that in the end, the council will make decisions on what are acceptable exceptions. That to me seems like it would be one. We're not going to have you invest into windows when either they're going to get busted again or they're going to get demolished. And so I did send that letter out today to him, noting all of the different items in that, and asked him for feedback within 3 weeks. So just wanted to let you know that, I know this has been a big concern with everybody, myself included, the conditions of the buildings and that. And but he has now started a website, which is pretty cool, right? There's a Tower website for the Tower building, and some of the things he's been doing. I guess there's a green dragon that lights up now and different things. So he's created a lot of interest of people that want to see that tower, preserved. Nobody's talking about tearing the tower down. And then that whole area, it would be nice to get it sold and developed in that. But so I just wanted to throw that out, is that we are addressing, with him, what are the things that he can do with those buildings.
If I could just build on that, we had the gentleman that's doing the lighting and things like that. We had him at our Rotary Club, Rotary meeting. So if you want to go to Lake Placid Rotary on Facebook, you'll see a summary of the meeting. And Mr. Forsyth was there. Forsyth with an E on the end, because he's the Irish one. He was there as well, and he talked at length about the tower, and he professed that they are not going to tear down the tower at all, that the tower is structurally sound, and they want to preserve the tower, and they even talked about trying to form a foundation of people that would support the tower and, things like that. But he did allude to the other buildings that they're going to, have. That's a separate issue. But the tower itself was pretty solid. So the details of that meeting is on our Facebook site.
Okay,
so.
good.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, one more thing. I had the opportunity today, I spent about 4 hours with Congressman Soto and his staff, primarily doing ag stuff, but they had never really been to Lake Placid, so we drove downtown, saw all the stuff, explained to them what was going on here with, that Congressman Franklin had offices. One way or the other, whether it's Darren Soto or someone else, we're going to have a new congressperson representing us come the first year. So I'd encourage you and staff to think about Are we still interested, hopefully, in leasing office space? Do we want to change the terms? Because, you know, Scott's people are going to go away, and whoever the new, whether it's Darren Soto or a new congressperson for District 9, I know he was very enthusiastic about potentially having an office here, and he and his staff are they've been down several times since the change was put in place for the future, and so I know he's very interested in the area, so.
Thank you for that, and actually, I've gone to a few of these candidate forums for the other candidates that are running for District 9, and I've actually pulled them aside and said, hey, when you're elected, like Placid is right smack in the middle of your whole district, and we will have an office ready for you.
Okay.
So I've been lobbying that way. Hopefully, as I told each of them, when you're elected, the other didn't hear me say the same thing, when you're elected, when you're elected. But I agree totally, and that's what, the way they've redistricted it, we're perfect, right? All the way from Okeechobee to Orlando, here we are.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
perfect sub-office location.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you for doing that also with him. Okay, anybody else?
One thing, just the light that shines on the Highway 27 flag was notified by Duke Energy that it's been repaired.
They're fixing it?
It's been
They're
They're
fixed?
done.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay. All right, it's 8:08. Call this meeting adjourned.